If you're looking for a Drivers' Championship going to the finale, this is the place where you want to be. My name is Eoin Harmon, and we have made it to round 16 of the Formula Sprint 1 Championship campaign. It is Interlagos de Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, the scene of this crucial day in the careers of both Jack Mir and Szymon Frelick. And alongside me this evening, it's none other than Ed Hunter. So Ed, how are you feeling ahead of this massive day?
Very, very excited. In theory, this should be a fairly straightforward one for Jack Mir, given the lead he has going in, but you can't take anything for granted, really, because so much can happen in FS1. We've seen it all season, and there you see on screen the gap. 40 points separate Jack Mir on 437 points from Szymon Frelick on 397 points. Now, both drivers have had their fair share of bad luck this season, races that maybe could have gone their way but didn't. And both of them have fought back from adversity as the year's gone on. They've both, incidentally, secured the team's title for TOP quite a few races ago, but it's that driver's title between the pair. They've been so closely matched that Jack Mir, despite having a very, very big lead at one point, has not quite been able to secure it before the final two races of the season. So as you say, it's going down to the wire, and where better to go down to the wire than here at Interlagos. And there, indeed, we see Szymon Frelick in the slightly gold-accented TOP, which of course is for being the 2023 team's champions in FS1.
Yeah, that certainly is the case, and I suppose the championship is more not necessarily what Jack Mir needs to do as a leader, it's more what Szymon Frelick has to do to stay in the hunt. So basically he needs to finish the race, and he needs to finish very, very well to get that gap down to more than half, basically. So if we're really going to have those famous championship permutations, then to be quite honest, then Szymon needs to complete race one with a bounty of points to make that possible. Whereas from Jack's point of view, pretty much a 9th place or above in either of the races will guarantee it. So it is down to this qualifying session, which will set the scene. If Szymon gets pole position and doesn't have to worry about any battles behind him, then that should give him the best possible chance So we're riding on board now with the number 74, who is definitely the one to watch today in terms of the Drivers' Championship. But of course, as you mentioned, Ed, we have other battles in the Teams' Championship and in the Drivers' Championship away from the title decider that will keep us engaged. But yeah, a lovely ride up here. The Ferradura. Yeah, very close though. And the Pinarino downhill left. This will complete sector 2 in the next 2 or 3 corners. So it probably feels like the longest on the track, even though the lap time should be 1 minute 20s or thereabouts. So we got 1 to go in terms of braking, and then we flat out to the end. So we'll see Klaffenbach for TCS off, looking strong as well. They found a real gem in Mr. Klaffenbach. So we'll see how he gets on, but for now...
Not looking too good for Julian, though, so Simon is probably going to put the times here.
And there we have it, yes, P1 for Freilich. Lehu was briefly on pole, and Carlos Martin takes 3rd place. So yeah, we'll see now. It is certainly, advantage so far to Freilich as Mayer slots in P6, half a second behind.
But crucially, Mayer purple in the final sector, though, so he had a really good run through Jianchao all the way uphill into Subida de Boxes and then into the start-finish line. As we look now at Saracino, who of course finished on the podium at Silverstone, gets himself into the top 10 for EP Lab. Now, EP Lab not really in the Teams Championship battle. They are down in, I believe, in 12th position on 48 points. So they're quite, mathematically, they're not going to be able to catch Friesland in 11th, but there are quite a few fights. So first off, Alpha Delta versus Rowan GP, 7 points in it between those two in the battle for 8th. Then we have got the next closest battle is probably for 4th between TCS Off Racing and Mulder Force GP, as we see anybody going quicker out there. I don't think so, as we ride on board with Riboli, who's on the Pixelate esports car, and they are even further down. I think they're 15th and last in the championship on 12 points. So Riboli, fresh off of his FS2 campaign with the title-winning team there, is looking to now assert and make a name for himself in FS1 as well, as we ride back on board with Moritz Kropp, who pops into the pit lane. But the other thing I was going to mention about for TCS Off and Multiforce GP are about 11 points apart, I think, exactly. And then there's the big battle for second, which is the one I think that's really going to interest us, which is Spark, 527 points, Networks GP, 513. So 14 points between those two. But of course, Networks have been closing on Spark inexorably, and that was that second place for Vincent Gert, who we look at now, who of course was on that podium in Abu Dhabi last time out. That was really what saved them, because Carlos Martin crashing out in Abu Dhabi really, really cost them. So he may well have done just enough to give them enough of a buffer to stop Netrex beating them to second. But there's certainly no reason for Spark to rest on their laurels, as Klaffenbach goes well wide out of Decido de Largo at turns 4 and 5. You can see how quick he is in that first sector, but unfortunately I think he carries maybe just a little bit too much speed through the braking zone into turn 4, and that may be affecting his overall lap time here.
Yeah, there's a big step out again. The camera angle is a bit deceptive. You could see it if you were following the rear tires and how it was getting on. But now, quick acceleration down the hill again before Zhongkao. We'll see exactly what he's set up. There it is, green. So yeah, that first lap he got was not quite representative. So this should be a solid improvement here, as Klaffenbach wants to get a proper lap time set after he was threatening for pole on his first go. Through final curve, there he goes, and it's P12. So yeah, there is plenty of room for improvement. That middle sector, I think, is the one that's gotten away from him. Latsinen, P9 at the moment for Friesland, a team that had been struggling for quite a while, but are feeling a little bit of a late season surge. So fair play to them. They've had some great results recently, with Latsinen getting 7th, 6th, and an 8th the last sets of races in Japan and Abu Dhabi. 2 purple in first sector as well. Oh dear, that's a flourish that will cost him his ideal tyre condition, so we won't get to see him improve there. But Lucchini here for Alpha Delta, would he have a say in this final qualifying session of 2023?
Yeah, Lucchini and Russo have sort of been the dark horses of this season, haven't they? They've had a few strong rounds here and there, but it's so difficult, especially in the qualifying, to get a whole lap strung together with every sector. Carlos Martin goes purple in the middle sector now, but it is Lucchini, of course, who was lighting up the first sector. Let's see if he can complete the lap, complete the season on a high. Carlos Martin. Remember, Netrek still in that close battle for second, and it's second on the grid. He qualifies just marginally behind Simon Frelick. So, as you said at the beginning of the session, Frelick doing everything he needs to do now. Mayer, if he finishes the race in fourth, that would not be enough. He really needs third to prevent Simon Frelick. I think actually, no, if he wins, I think... trying to remember the maths here, because the difference between first and fourth is, if I look at it now, it's 25. It's 12 points as well. So actually, I think fifth. Sorry, now as it said, would just about be enough for Jack Mayer, because he needs a 19-point swing for Frelick in this first race to keep the points battle going.
Yeah, that is true.
That's Saracino missing his front wing here.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, he's missing both wings. Both wings are missing.
They were just loading in there, but no, they were just completely dropped off.
Yeah, very unusual. Yeah, Heigo Poom is our broadcast liaison as usual. So yeah, one last broadcast for him to manage, and it is the big one. So yeah, if there are any replays available, that would be handy. But nevertheless, Carlos Martin, yeah, he's gone for a quick second lap. So yeah.
Well, we might want to say the blushes of Giuseppe Saracino as well, because he's only done one other event this season, so he's not the most experienced of the FS1 field. But of course, very, very quick, very impressive. And indeed, we're not going to spare his blushes. Here we go.
Yeah, this is a little bit far ahead of time, so that we would have got through turn 10 there. But I suspect it could have been turn 7 and 8. That's a very, very lethal set of corners if you're going too quick. So we'll figure that out exactly. I know it's even further ahead than that,
very early on.
Incident, perhaps. Yeah.
And his steering's been bent as well, so there he goes off at Ferradura and just about avoids the wall.
Ah, there it is, yes. The run down past pit exit there before turn 4.
I think he spun out of the center S zone.
Yes.
That's what's happened to Saracino there.
Almost there. Yes, precisely, yeah. Good guess, Ed. That's a spin out of center S, yeah. Hits the walls with a acute angle. So that sent the vibrations through to the back as well. The clock is down to about 5 minutes, 48 seconds.
Lahu going quickly.
Time. Yeah, this is ideal for Alex Lahu. He has that pedigree of the qualifying times.
Oh, there we go.
He's been deposed. It is indeed Alex Lahu on provisional pole.
Yeah, by 36 thousandths of a second over Simon Frelick, so he's so close there. And the mistake from Saracino, by the way, into curve it is all so easy to do, because once you get through the center S, it's so tempting to get on the power immediately. But if you get the wheels on the curb, they can be absolutely lethal here, so you really need to watch yourself. And it's not good for the tyres either, even if you manage to save that one. But here's Klaffenbach in the other TCS off car. Fastest in the first sector, but a bit slower in the final sector. That limits him only to improve to 8th, just ahead of Lucchini then. But for Frelick, this is absolutely crucial now, as he immediately improves in the first sector, so he's got to respond to Alex Lahu. He wants a clean run into turn 1.
Yeah, there's no messing about now for Frelick. He probably has 2 more chances if this goes to plan. Lucchini as well, very similar pace. Currently 10th, so yeah, the helicopter cam or drone, whatever you think this is. Oh, so a little bit of lag there, but it's okay. So this should be
very
wide.
wide.
A little bit of just a quite desync, a bit of a desync here at the moment. So, yeah, I believe Shimon is setting the lap time absolutely no problem, but yeah, we're just not quite syncing up between his connection with ours. So let's see if this is good. And it certainly is, yes. So he's found that crucial time in the third sector. And Jack Mayer is probably getting ready for another throw of the dice, currently in 8th, as a matter of fact. Danny van der Neet, first Thomas Harvey's substitution today. Let's see if he can get into the top 10 with this lap time.
Yeah,
no,
and a reminder, if Jack Mayer finishes 8th, he will win the championship in race 1, but only by 2 points mathematically. So Frelick, if Jack Mayer gets in an incident in turn 1, things could get very, very interesting indeed. Yeah,
it'd be the nightmare scenario for Jack Mayer to be at risk of a collision. and his teammate being on the front row, the chance to break away and control things from the front. And Giuseppe Saracino in 5th place has not got the belief in that lap time. It is certainly not on target regardless.
Good recovery though so far after that big crash. Didn't dent his confidence. Saracino really taking it on the chin there. Of course, 4th in FSR Academy in the end after he missed final round in Brazil, but he was in the runners-up spot going into that race. So Saracino, very good season in 2023 for him in other series. So it's great to see him branching out to FS1 now that the FSR Academy season has finished.
Yeah, it is great to get that experience from Academy, finding your way up the ladder. Now, this is Jack Mayer's turn to try and respond to his teammates' Paul.
Really wide.
Yeah, that was far from ideal.
He's cut right to the inside immediately as well. No, they're trying to run as wide as he can for a Curva de Sol, and slower in the first sector as we thought it would be.
Yeah, it's only a 10th down on the purple threshold, so it's not too bad, but it's really what happens here. Turns 7, 8, and 9 can put many a lap time in the bin using all of that curb on the inside.
Just doesn't look hooked up here, does it?
No, it doesn't look planted, I'm afraid. You'll get the exact situation he's in just a moment from now down Maragulo before John Cow. And it is an improvement on his personal time, but it is not likely to threaten Shimon. Let's see how he gets on now that the foot is flat to the accelerator pedal. Will he complete the lap? No, he won't. He knows it is a busted flush. So he's got He won't get any more time.
Yeah, not unless he gets out the pit lane sharpish, but even then he'll need a quali lap to do a quali lap. So yeah, that could be it then. 8th place for Jack Mayer, and he's looking very, very nervy and frustrated, I think, with that lap there, because I think he knows he could have done better. Vincent Good, though, reversal fortune for him. He's in 4th at the moment, right behind Carlos Martin, which is absolutely crucial in that 2nd place battle in the team's championship. Where is the second Netrex of his teammate?
Omari Watson, maybe.
Omari, that's it, yeah.
Remember, I think he said he wasn't going to be here.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, so they must have got else in the net.
No replacement available, unfortunately.
Well, that pretty much that makes it very, very difficult for Carlos to win the team's championship then, because he's up against 2 sparks of not just Vincent but Danny Van Den Eet as well.
Yeah, so Carlos has to be on his absolute best here. He was in Super Lights as a substitute when I was also taking part in that broadcast. So
abandoning another lap here.
Yeah,
that's it for him.
So Alex Lahu on the lap here. He's a little bit down so far. The clock is due to strike 0. It has, as a matter of fact, there it is. Checker flag is now out. We must register this time.
Through BK DePato as well. He's absolutely draining the life out of these tires. And pushing too much into the final corner in Jun Chao, and the wheel comes off actually as well.
Yeah, that's a nasty shunt. But Freilich wants to solidify his pole position. I believe, with Carlos Martin. He's a little bit down in Sector 1 at the moment, so Freilich will want to get into the 1:14.2s or better to make his pole position absolutely certain. It's going to be close. He's not doubled up here in Sector 2, but it's all down to the start-finish straight. Can he find that finest margin, cut the line as close as he can to ensure his momentum is at its peak? Here he comes. And he does improve. And he will celebrate there a rapid 360-degree spin. Enjoy. That is exactly what Shimon needs to do to make this a competitive finale. And Lucchini has missed his chance of getting 12th place or better. He'll have to stick with 12th with damage there to the front.
Yep, so Lucchini unfortunately not getting into the top 10, but Luca Filin with a late lap there in the Sand 10. So close to knocking out Jack Mayer there. with that lap. That was a really, really good effort. Only 45 thousandths off. Meanwhile, Carlos Martin did improve, but only 53 thousandths off of Alex Lahou there, as we see a replay of that impact, which he's hoping not to repeat in the race. I think Alex definitely would benefit greatly to his confidence to end the season on a high, but I think that lap from Frelick at the end really shattered the morale of everyone behind him who would have hoped to beat him in race 1 here, and I think Lahou just deliberately went for the wall, as indeed did Licini there, although a little bit less damage, only the front wing party company there rather than the right-hand wheel.
It was absolutely out of frustration, or maybe it's just for the lols in Alex's case. I just know he loves to play around when...
But also, you've got so little control on the grass there, haven't you? You saw Mirko.
Yeah, you do lose
great
control for sure.
That,
yeah, putting the foot flat down. I think either he just was frustrated, or else he wanted to put on a show, because I know he likes to see the cup half full in life. I suppose that's an optimistic attitude of his. But optimism is certainly flowing through Szymon Frelick, our pole sitter for today, with Alex Lahou. There he is, with 1/10 behind on the front row. Carlos Martin, another driver who has really shone this season. He will be P3 ahead of Vincent Gutt, one of the ever reliable drivers, in 4th. And then Martz Kropp, Giuseppe Saracino, Harry Smith have all beaten the championship leader Jack Mayer to the grid. Lucas Tylene and Jassi Latinen have their cars in the top 10. And the drivers who have points-paying positions as of the grid will be Julian Klaffenbach, Mirko Lucchini, Danny van der Neet, David Wasserman, and Federico Russo. Frank Hamming for HGP, the first driver that will want to try and enter those points-paying positions, with Maciej Hille, Wopke Hoekstra, Menno Klont, and Massimiliano Riboli in the top 20. And then our 25-strong grid has Oliver Taras 21st, Philip Koenig right behind him in 22nd, Joe Gillette 23rd, Christopher Svillo 24th, and Mateusz Gazowski. I think he must have joined late on, so he never really had the chance to set a lap time, but he should be allowed to enter for our 16th and final evening of racing. So yeah, our warm-up session, how important will this be? They've got to nail the strategy in Szymon's garage, knowing that he has the pole that he desperately needs. So Ed, do you suspect it's a one-stopper, knowing the conditions are pretty mild for Interlagos standards?
Well, it is, provided it doesn't rain. Very interesting news is that I didn't realise Joe Gillette was in this race, because he's actually mentoring an FS2 team, my Hunter Birch simulation team, which funnily is racing right at the moment, which is why I was a little distracted there when you asked me that question. They're racing in Willow Springs at the moment, trying to secure the team's championship and the drivers as well, with Mike Bell at the wheel. But yeah, Joe Gillette is going to be competing for us as our lead driver in FS2 next season, along with Fahid Ahmed, with Caroline Harvick as our reserve driver. So that's all really, really exciting. I didn't realise Joe was doing this. He didn't tell me. So I'm going to try and be as unbiased as I can now that I've officially know that Joe's going to be driving for me, because he was a little unsure if we're going to finalise the contracts or not. But it is done now. We got the team entry in, so hopefully we do get approved before a GPVWC day. But of course, it's not guaranteed, and there's no room for entitlement. It could easily be another worthy team that gets the nod ahead of us, in which case my drivers will have to probably sign with them instead. But there we go. As we just look at, it looks like Jack Mayer just lapping the. Is that the green stripes? No, this will be the Santen, of course, of Luca Filin. But yeah, Jack Mayer really under pressure here. Is he going to try a risky strategy to move up the field, or is he going to play it really, really conservatively and just try not to lose too many positions here? Because Jack Mayer, as long as he finishes 10th, I think he's going to be okay, even if Frelick... Well, as long as he finishes 9th, sorry, he's going to be okay, as long as Frelick wins. If he drops to 10th or lower, then mathematically Frelick is going to get in the window going into race 2, and then it would still be advantage Jack Mayer, as again he goes off track, and now he's got Frank Hamming for company as well in his warm-up, so he's being swarmed before the race even gets going, which is not the best news for his confidence whatsoever, because that Luca Finer right behind him is going to be starting right behind him on the starting grid as well.
Yeah, that is very true. So yeah, what matters for Jack is the getaway, and making it through the first few corners will be key. And yeah, it's really a case of the strategy just needs to worry about the drivers in and around him. Whereas Shimon just walks away with race 1 victory. Then he just has to do his own job, and Tylene decides to go for the inside, and that allows Frank Hamming into position here as well. So, yeah, I believe, yeah, Jack
just making his presence felt physically there.
Absolutely.
To remind Jack May, you've got to remember me because I'm going to still be there in a few minutes' time.
Yeah, so the fact, that
very tough cut here, isn't it?
Multi-force car off in the barrier there. Thankfully, ability to get back to the garage was enabled there, so no threat to anybody. We have, for Jack's point of view, he'll be starting on the softs that he qualified on. But I suppose, he would want to not necessarily try and undercut everybody. It will be quite difficult in traffic because of the fact that Interlagos is one of the shorter circuits on our calendar. So undercut might not necessarily work unless he finds a clear bit of track, but he can't go too long on the tires either, because that will risk him losing that critical sort of lap time window that he'd want to stay in that P8 or thereabouts. So yeah, it is a tough strategy to call, but yeah, I think safety first. Just make sure those soft tires are in their prime window, and then probably pit towards the perhaps the 40% mark. I think that would be a reasonable guess before moving on to the harder compound tires.
Yeah, big battle, by the way, for 4th in the team championship between TCS Off and Multiforce. So with both TCS Off cars of Lahoo and Klaffenbach in the top 10, I think. Well, certainly Lahoo is. So it's very, very crucial for them to finish because they're only 11 points behind Multiforce GP. And with Clont there, that's certainly good to have Menno back in the picture as you look at Violent spin through Ferradura in the background, which will certainly bring a small smile to the face of Jack Mayer, who's probably a little bit annoyed about that needless contact into the center race, I guess. But yeah, so crucial for Alex Lahoo to bring it home here, because there's a big opportunity to get the more than the 11 points that he and Klaffenbach will need to overcome Multiforce, especially if Menno Clont and David Wasserman struggle to make their way through the field, because both of them starting outside the top 10.
Yeah, that's another crucial observation. Yeah, Multiforce had Mike Quint in contention. Certainly his peak was the summer months, where he got the streak of podiums, Azerbaijan, Saudi Arabia and Germany, and then he got another podium in Canada. But after that point, because he was absent from the British event, and then Hungary was the first sign of stress as his lead was taken away, and then completely he fell away, and then it was all done for after Monza, where he had a hardware failure. I think it was his brakes, and he wasn't able to apply the brakes properly, and that meant his season was ruined for sure. So Multiforce, I know that they're the team that have been in FS1 the longest, so it would be a crying shame if they finish 5th for the second year in a row with how good they've been.
It certainly would be, but and you've got to feel for Mike Quint, because this is a season that promised so much, and in the end, not only is he failed to finish a lot of races due to his technical difficulties, but he's actually stopped showing up to quite a lot of them. As we see, is that Carlos Martin just practicing his start there. That's a little bit cheeky on the outside, which is technically the racing line too. So everyone having to have their presence of mind there, is avoiding the slow net wrecks. But Carlos, very, very smart. He knows it's sort of an uphill run, isn't it? It's a little bit difficult letting the clutch go at the start here, isn't it? Because you are sort of at an angle, which is not great for the getaway. So that's probably why we see Carlos starting there rather than in the pit lane.
Yeah, it's more authentic to get onto the banking for your start. Certainly he's on the second row, so he has to pick near enough to the second row, or wherever he can realistically do it. So there's no use going to the pit lane, which goes downhill once you actually cross the speed limit line. So it needs to be on that banking to get a realistic start. So yeah, it does probably put the little distraction for the drivers who just want to set lap time. So yeah, everyone needs different priorities for this warm up, and yeah, those priorities will clash sometime.
Yep, and only 2 more minutes to go until we go into what very well could be a very, very tense race, and potentially even the title decider as long as Jack Mayer finishes in, and it definitely would have to be so 25 minus 19. Let me just check for the final time just to make sure my maths is right. Would be, so he needs 6 points, doesn't he? Well, more than 6 points. He would need that 9th place is the crucial one then. So as long as he only loses 1 position at the start here, he should be okay. So we see a big smash behind David Wasserman there. I'm not sure who was involved in that, but one of the Lunarks. I would assume that's Moritz Kropp just recovering there, and somebody else as well. Might have been Danny Van Den Eat in the Spark, actually.
Yeah, Lunark were also on the search for a new driver to step in today, but unfortunately they mustn't have found a candidate, or a candidate didn't apply. So yeah, for once the Lunark team, who have been a massive boon to the season, really, that it's been great to have them along after the exit of Butler Motorsport. They've been absolutely fabulous. So yeah, we'll hopefully get to see them have a full campaign in 2024, and they'll certainly give any race ambitious team a real race next season. So yeah, that's one to watch out for too.
Yeah, I think they'd be fighting with EP Lab now if they'd actually been eligible for teams points, having started from the beginning of the season, because I'm pretty sure with especially Kropp, but also the likes of Chris Butcher and others in the second seat, they've really gotten a lot of points very quickly in just only the second half of the season as well. So that's something to very much look forward to in 2024, because a lot of these guys are doing their auditions, aren't they, for next season, in a way, especially those in the lower teams, the likes of Joe Gillette, Rutger Hoekstra for HGP. He's definitely trying to get out of the shadow of his teammate Frank Hamming, and now he's got onto the grass there, which is not going to help him. But again, we saw Jack Mayer struggling to keep it on the road as well, so that shows even the championship leader hasn't quite got to grips with this Interlagos circuit. Track temperature 46 degrees, so it's still pretty high. So I do think, to be honest, your earlier question, which I've neglected to answer, as we see Jat Lattinen stopping as the session comes to a close, as Vincent Gutt has set the fastest time, just under 3 temps ahead of Alex Lahou, which is very impressive for Spark. But I think it's going to be a 2-stop, in my opinion, and I think we're going to see a couple of teams risk it on the 1-stop. But I think the safer option here is go from the soft to either another set of softs and then the mediums, or vice versa. I think we might see some people just going for the mediums and then stretching it to the end.
Yeah, it's just the length of pit lane here. I know you come to a break for this entry line uphill, so maybe that will give drivers a little bit of a chance. But yeah, it's mainly that pit exit. It's extremely long just to bypass this in S, and then you have to find the right point to get back on the power and then go as close to flat out as you can before the track opens up and the barrier is clear. So yeah, the fact that the 2-stop is an option certainly will be one for the confident driver to take. But if you're not feeling the tires are working for you, then you should try and eke them out a little bit longer to make sure you get on the 1-stop and you reduce the risk of pit lane infractions or any such matter. That I certainly saw in Super Lights in Abu Dhabi. There were a little bit of messing around in pit lane that caused certainly a lot of stress for the drivers. So yeah, you really don't want any distractions when you're coming to pit lane here.
No, absolutely not. But the other thing to keep in mind is that a tyre wear can be a little bit tricky here sometimes, especially when it's quite easy to overtake with DRS down the main straight as long as you get a run. And it's often the case where you can, if you're not careful, you can burn up your tyres on the infield and then suddenly you're a sitting duck down that main straight and into the center S effectively. So yeah, that's where most of the overtakes are going to come, but don't be surprised to see a couple of dives into turn 4, either on the outside or the inside. Potentially 1 or 2 brave moves in the infield, particularly into Pico di Pato, where if you're feeling really brave and the car in front's compliant, you might be able to make a move up the inside. But don't be surprised to see yourself running side by side through the final couple of corners.
Yeah, so in contrast to Abu Dhabi, which had the race 1 of 29 laps, we now have 35 laps to look forward to in this first race, and then a 24 lap race 2, which will come into play for Szymon Frelick if he gets the strong result he needs right here and now. So yeah, everyone is now summoned to the grid. We'll get our formation lap going in due course. So yeah, the ability to overtake here, it really does matter. If you're going to go for on raw power, then Sector 1 is your friend. Perhaps the end of Sector 2, you can have a slight bite at turns 7 through 8. You could have an overtake point there. Otherwise, it'll have to be Zhong Kao, turn 12, and then try and power your way through with the horsepower to the start-finish line. So yeah, lots of options, but lots of dilemmas for the drivers to face as well as we head to the finale of our season, starting with this race 1 with Szymon Frelick. There he is, number 74. He's got pole position and he needs to make it count. Alex Lahu, of course, we know all of his ups and downs this campaign. He starts second with Carlos Martin, P3, and Vincent Good fourth. Maritz Kropp, Giuseppe Saracino, Harry Smith, and Jack Mayer 5th through 8th. So Jack Mayer is in championship position, but knowing Interlagos, anything could change in an instant. Lucas Tylene and Jassi Latsinen, 9th and 10th. Julian Klaffenbach, 11th, and Mirko Lucchini, P12. Spark have Danny van der Neet in 13th with David Wasserman, P14. Federico Russo, some stellar performances from him recently. He's got to start 15th. And Frank Hamming in command of the HGP in 16th. His teammate Wopke Hoekstra right behind the 17th. Maciej Hille 18th. Menno Klont and Massimiliano Riboli 19th and 20th. Oliver Taras and Philip Koenig 21st and 22nd. Joe Gillette and Christos Philo are on the last full row of the grid, 23rd and 24th. And then on his own in P25, without a time set but allowed to enter, it's Mateusz Guzowski. So yeah, all the builds up. It's been an incredible title fight. Szymon Frelick was out of the gates the quickest. Then it was Mike Quint who built up a wave of momentum. But ever since the summer break, it has been Jack Mayer's season, and he just needs to guarantee himself a P9 or better, and he will seal the deal. So Ed, do you think it'll happen straight away? Can Jack Mayer get that result?
Well, before qualifying, you'd think, oh, easy. But now, with him only just a place inside what he desperately needs, you've got to say Jack is going to be the most vulnerable at the start here. But I still think he can do it. But I think Szymon Frelick is probably going to be running away with this race as long as he gets a decent start here and stays ahead of Alex Lahu. And is that Jack Mayer just jumping ahead? If that's a little bit of nerves jumping in there as Jack Mayer just jumps the start grid spot, but he quickly and niftily gets himself out of trouble there, so there won't be a penalty hanging over his head. Fingers crossed. We see this looks like Gazowski's Hyperion just getting in at the rear.
Yeah, so I suppose his grid slot came to him all of a sudden, but they're all sorted. We have our getaways. We didn't see the lights. We have our launch. It is a quick one, and Frelick defends his line from Lahu. And Martin will go the long way around, wheel to wheel, little bump, but Martin may get the advantage. And in the background,
Mayer winning. Yeah, Mayer made contact with somebody there, and he's lost a couple of places because look, Klaffenbach has got through. Jack Mayer only just now holding on to the 9th place he needs to secure that title in this race 1, no matter what happens. Frelick up front. Now he's trying to fight Klaffenbach around the outside into turn 4.
Yeah, fantastic spot there, Ed. Thank you for that. But Frelick does what he needs to do. He is away. Lahu losing out there. So Mayer's in the final drop that he can afford to take behind Klaffenbach. I know in his maiden race, the teenage sensation Klaffenbach was certainly in contention for a while before, I suppose, experience paid off in Abu Dhabi. But Frelick has done what he needs to do, and we check out at turn 10 with Frank Hamming in P13. But here's Mayer. Doesn't need to do anything rash here. It's only lap 1, of course. But you can see on the timing tower, the best gain of all was Menno Klont, 4 positions improvement, so he has a point for 15. But here comes Jack Mayer. He's getting the slipstream, Ed. Will he try and go the long way around?
Well, he's got to here, but Klaffenbach gave him so much issues in Abu Dhabi, remember, with that move on the outside of him in race 1 as Wasserman goes up the inside of Frank Hamming into the center S then, but Hamming gets a good exit. Will try and go around the outside at Curva de Sol for 12th position, but no, It looks like David Wasserman saw that one coming, so Frank Hamming will have to switch to the inside then as they approach Descida de Largo. But again, that was a bit risky, and Frank Hamming wisely backs out of that one. So Frank Hamming, we're so used to seeing these climbs through the field, being a bit circumspect there. Let's look at Frelick absolutely pushing, and indeed, Lehoux is pushing behind him as well through Laranjana uphill there. As we look, this is the start for Jack Mayer, and I believe he gets hit in the side by either Luca Filin or the TCS off of Klaffenbach.
We're watching. So yeah, Mayer finds a slot on the inside.
Oh no, that was Saracino. He spun him around and flicked him over. Oh dear, no wonder Saracino's right at the back then. So actually, Jack Mayer might have a penalty hanging over him for that one. Yeah, so Saracino was just minding his own business, and then he gets clattered on his side pod. So we'll check it out from Giuseppe's point of view. So he would have been side by side with spin. Yeah, the would have been Tylene, I believe. So yeah, he just got the clatter and then rolled on his roll bar. So yeah, that's definitely disappointing. Yeah, so he is able to get pitch back onto his wheels. But yeah, that's a big moment already in this championship decider. And is there potentially even damage to Mayer's car after that as well? There's certainly damage to Saracino's, that's for sure, because you don't go upside down and survive unscathed like nothing happened. That's incredibly rare, unless you're playing a stunt driving game like Trackmania. But this is R Factor 2, of course, as the Hoekstra going round the outside. And the Alpha Delta's off track. Oh, Van den Eet in trouble there.
Big trouble, but he caught it. So thankfully, the grass just got out of the way in the nick of time. He's able to return to traction, but he's going on the inside there. And that's Koenig in the first land trying to defend. He has a chance to counter-attack into Zhongkao. And he may be able to do it here. Oh no, there's a tap, another tap. And remarkably, just the angle of the corner was the same as the car being tagged. So Svillo looking to try and take advantage. So these two drivers are really putting each other under the spotlight here. And Svillo wants to get
Lehoux in trouble. Lehoux drops down the order. I think he's crashed out.
Alex Lehoux gone from the session. Yeah, with a missing rear wing. So he's still in it, but he's gone from the podium for certain. That promotes Jack Mayer to 8th place, the original starting slot he had. So another dismay for Alex Lehoux here, and he's got to allow these faster cars by and get himself prepared. So that's the competitive end for Alex Lehoux in race 1. So let's investigate what happened with Carlos Martin on the attack.
Yeah, so Martin's behind. Lehoux goes out to defend. Does Martin break too late? He taps him round. So, it's actually contact with Moritz Kropp there that actually makes the rear wing lip off completely. So, a little bit unfortunate there. You can maybe say Lehoux breaks slightly earlier than normal, but Carlos Martin certainly caught out by that. And Moritz Kropp, I don't think he could have done more to avoid than he did there.
Yeah, Moritz, he's an innocent party there. He did his very best to avoid contact, but it just was the circumstances came out against him. So Martin, second gear, just didn't slow down enough to.
I would say Carlos misjudged that slightly, but
it's just a little bit
one
too
of those things, unfortunately. So we got Carlos Martin potentially in trouble, as well as Jack Mayer for flipping Saracino. So lots of drama in this first 5 laps.
Yeah, in fairness, Harry Smith is there for Netrex to try and cover off.
There is a second Netrex then. Harry Smith is at the wheel. So this is boding well for them in their battle with Spark, because we've got Carlos ahead of Vincent, and Alex Lou's lost the front wing now as well. So it does not get better for TCS off, and that's really going to hurt them in their battle with Multiforce GP. So Menno Clont in 15th getting that final point. He's only really got Klaffenbach to worry about now. As you see Oliver Tarras getting a new front wing as well. That's a shame for Oliver after he had a very good race 2 in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah, certainly it's a shame for Tarras having to pit repairs too. But the leaders will put them a lap down very quickly, knowing how long this track is.
Very close to the back of Klaffenbach.
Yeah, so it's take 2 here for Jack Mayer. He's got to make this move stick. 30 laps to go at the line. Again, having to go the long way. It's not going to pay off necessarily unless he outbrakes the TCS off driver. And no such success there, but there's a second bite of the cherry coming up past Coverdale Sol, or Dussol. And now here we go. So DRS for Claffenbach 2, that will help him. But Jack Mayer picks his inside line, braking at 75 meters. And incredibly, Claffenbach was understeer a little too much. And there's the position gained for Jack Mayer. So he's back up a place for the first time.
Well, not what I was expecting after Abu Dhabi with the way Van Boak drove there, but he was so desperate not to hit the side of Jack Mayer and take out the championship leader that he just went completely off track there. And, you know, Jack Mayer, he desperately doesn't want to be overtaken by Lattinen, so that was what that move was about, because if Lattinen overtakes him, then he's potentially at the mercy of Frank Hamming as well. So Mayer needs to be moving forward in this race, not backwards. But now, the very impressive Luca Filin has got to be his next target.
And there's trouble, Danny van der Neat.
Bad news for Spark. That really helps Netrex then.
So, yeah, the numerical situation, it's pretty much zero now. Spark have no other representation.
Well, they've got good.
Sorry, Vincent Good, of course. So Vincent Good, I should say, has no backup. So, yeah, I'm getting my teams mixed up. So through turns 4 and 5, of course, now 6 and 7. So he gets through 6, but before 7 is completed, he snaps and he tries to catch the slide, but no such success. He's gone into the inside wall.
So easy to do, and in trying to save that slide at Ferradura, he just ripped at the wrong moment, and he ended up sending him right towards the wall there. A big disappointment then, and the race was not going particularly well for Danny before that point either. But anyway, everyone who was behind him will benefit. And for Netrex now, it's really a battle between Martin and Good, and Netrex has got to hope that Harry Smith can also finish potentially in the top 5, top 6. That would definitely get them ahead of Spark. Now remember, that gap was it 11 points between the pair? It wasn't. No, it was 12 points. Sorry, I misspoke there. No, 14 points, I should say.
Yeah.
So this would definitely be enough. That retirement from Danny Van is absolutely crucial in that second place battle. If everyone in the top 19 now has gained at least one place, apart from Lucchini and Frelick, of course, who started on pole position.
Yeah, so
a place about to be gained by Lahu, who's come back after his repairs in 24th position, so he's taken advantage of a bit of the chaos, and he's now right behind Hoekstra. No, not Hoekstra. I think he's trying to unlap Hoekstra, isn't he?
Yeah, he'd be trying to unlap himself at this stage. Yeah, that would be number 73 of Hamming. So yeah, he's trying to unlap Hamming, and Hamming will not be at all interested. He's just trying to get on with his own race and get as many points as he can for his team. But Shimon, there's been practically nothing to talk about for him, because he's pulled well clear of DRS. He's never been under threat. And then that tangle that brought Lahu into that situation meant that he was able to pull out even more. So yeah, Frelick is following his intended script as best he can. And Wopke Hoekstra, there's the other HGP. The number 7 in this case, he has caused a bit of debris to be left behind.
I think he stopped what Danny Van Den Eat did.
Yes, exact same mistake. Exact same location, yeah, similar enough, but the rear end was out of control before he could even correct the incident. He just spun it and hit the wall side on. So Guzovsky will have overtaken him. Taras and Lahu will get the signal to push, as they know another driver.
Is he past Filin?
Yes.
Luca Filin will not be happy with that. Remember the little clashes they had in practice as well. He'll be eager to prove himself, I think, against the world champion elect here, and make it just that little bit harder for him, dropping back down into 7th as we see Claffenbach spinning around. So it's all falling apart for TCS off racing here.
Yeah, this is a nightmare opener for the TCS off team. Let's see exactly what happens. So this is his battle with the first.
He hits the back of Lattinen with it.
Yeah, Lattinen. Yeah, minding his own business, just defending his line, and Claffenbach spun it with the DRS flap open. So he's down into 13th on those tires. He'll be screaming in pain. Certainly the temperatures will be off the charts there. So yeah, having the skids, it was more the skid going sideways, that'll ruin them for him. So yeah, real pressure now on TCS off, a disastrous first few laps.
Yep, certainly, and there's loads of pressure here on Carlos Martin as he watches Frelick escape into the distance, and Vincent Good, who's in a really rich vein of form at the moment, is looking for his third podium of the season to keep Sparks championship hopes alive. It's all down to him then in that number 79, and we see a little heart message. I think it's Thomas Smith's name that's in the middle of that, and he also has a few tributes to, I think, Josh and Sandeep, who engineer him, and of course Jack and Simon from TOP, who are his friends. He's hoping to start friendly terms with them. He's certainly going to be helping Frelick if he keeps Martin and of course Jack Mayer at bay behind them.
Yeah, we'll cross over to the battle here as Klaffenbach tries to get himself settled down after the mistake. Meadow Clant, oh, that's how you do it. That's how you save the slide into Larangina. Thankfully, yeah. Those,
and this is now battle for fourth in the team's table, isn't it? Between Multiforce and TCS also. Vasserman has emerged just in front then. Not Vasserman, sorry. Vasserman's ahead in 9th. And Klaffenbach's the sole remaining TCS off on the lead lap with Lehoux. Actually, I think Lehoux just unlapped Frelick, actually. Or he's about to. He's only 24 seconds down on Hoekstra, which isn't insurmountable, but he's still probably got quite a few cars to unlap before he gets there. But here comes Alex Lehoux then, desperately trying to catch back up to Hoekstra, and he's got to unlap both of the Alpha Deltas here, hasn't he? Because he's... there we go, that must be Vicini, because he's still got Hamming to catch it.
Yeah, that should be Lucchini. Jack Mayer still following along with Harry Smith this time. Smith has Mark's Crop just ahead as well, so this is an awkward situation for Jack Mayer because he won't get a one-on-one fight on DRS, for example, and turn 8 was shut off for any temptation may have occurred. So yeah, at the moment, with Mark's Crop providing Harry Smith the DRS slipstream, it will be tough for Jack Mayer to get by, but now Klaffenbach is behind Joe Gillette on the harder compound tyre. So yeah, I think the signal should come out for the TCS off job to get himself into the pit lane and try and get rid of those tyres if they're really giving him grief.
Yeah, we see Rados in the chat says one cross for the bingo card Lehoux crash, and he puts a tick next to it as we see Jack Mayer now right behind Harry Smith, and he'll go up the inside then into the center S at turn 1. Mayer's going to have to be deep on the brakes here to pull this one off, and indeed it is. He's got the line comfortably through, and now Harry Smith, being a little bit held up on exits, got to worry about Luca Phelan then into turn 4 as we see Lehoux sets the fastest lap of the race on those fresh tires.
Yeah, with pit stops for the lead drivers yet to come, I'd have no doubt that barrier can be broken down as the fuel burns up. Maciej Hill exits the race, unfortunately on his own there for Build Sim. He had some very, very memorable races, in particularly the race 2s. So yeah, he's already backwards between turns 13 and 14. So yeah, he doesn't want to carry on. So this is Jean Cao.
Oh, he's just go too wide, hits the grass, and it goes around. It was only a narrow touch with the grass too, but that was all it took. And he's trying to reverse to get his face in the right way, but I think massively the race had gone wrong before that, at that point. And it's an unfortunate end to Bilton Volpino's season because he was the only one driving for them at this point, but he had driven so beautifully. Remember those 2 reverse grid wins I think he had this season, and he'll be hoping to get another one in about 20 laps time then when this race ends. But Phelan now up the inside of Harry Smith, and that's bad news for Netrex then, because it's going to reduce the advantage they would have over Spark by the end of this, because they need both cars to get as many points as they can. It's not guaranteed that Carlos Martin's going to be able to hold the charging Vincent Gut up forever, especially if Vincent is going to try and undercut him at the pit stops. Yeah,
that is for sure. So yeah, Harry Smith is better off just trying to follow Lucas Tylene and see how he gets on with the lap times and maybe fight him on strategy. So it's certainly a case, yeah, Smith should fight back as best he can, but he doesn't need to go overboard either.
Luca, I think he's targeting Jack Mayer here because he's in the unfinished business here. And Mayer right behind Moritz Krop though, who's going to be a tough customer to overtake. He's certainly got no incentive to let him through, is he? So.
Yeah, I'm sure it's all in good jest. But at the moment, yeah, so many teams have motivation here to end the season on a high and get as far up the championship as they can. But now Moritz Krop, with no one else to help him out. We'll see if Jack Mayer will go from that turn 4 most likely. So he's setting up the move after the S of Senna. So let's see. Oh yeah, you can see the pressure.
Both of them going off.
Yeah, the pressure's building.
Right over the curve at Curva de Sol. As you see, is that a lapped car getting out of the way? That looks like Saracino, who of course may have flipped over early in the race. So that's going to be interesting, but I'm sure Giuseppe will play ball here. As we see first pit stops, Hamming, Latin and Svillo come in.
Yeah, just about, 20...
So it looks like he's going to be a one-stop. Oh, just about saves that uphill coming out of Ferradura there. How did he manage that? And I think it might be time for him to pit too, because those softs very much past their best. Frelick is the one who's got them in the best nick at the moment, and he's pulled out quite a gap to Martin. He's maintained that 3.2 second gap very, very steadily so far.
Yeah, it's been absolutely on point here for Frelick at the moment. And he should have had the chance to manage his tyres with the gap he's been able to stabilise from Martin. Vincent Guts to P3, but now cross over to Moritz Krop, who wants to try and undercut his opponents here. So that frees up Jack to get 4th place. We'll check out the replay. And this is on board with Jack Mayer. So there we go. The championship flashing before his eyes there. He had to save that, and well done for a beautiful catch. So yeah, Lucas Tylene will be trying to stay in touch and really put the pressure on our championship leader.
Yeah, and a Krop, of course, pitting first means that he's going to potentially get an undercut to get back ahead of Mayer. Potentially, if he gets a really good outlap, he might get quite close to Vincent. But there was quite a few seconds between the pair. So we'll have to see how this works. But Jack Mayer, very lucky he lost it late in the corner up through the second part of turn 7, Laringa, rather than Ferradura. Because if he'd lost it at Ferradura, that would have been much harder to save with more of the corner to get through on opposite lock. So a little bit of luck and quite a lot of judgment there from Jack Mayer playing its part.
Yeah, it was definitely the skill and the fortune that helped him survive that corner. So yeah, 20 to go now. And Frelick will now notice that drivers behind him are all pitting. So yes, here we go. Martin, Gut and Mayer are in pits. So it is their best chance to try and find some of those seconds to potentially threaten. So Mayer, oh yes, all business here. He's pointing the car towards the fast lane.
Oh, and look at Vincent really lighting up the tyres after putting them on. But Mayer cut right across Vincent as he's getting into his pit box there. As he said, all business. He's not messing around with the championship up for grabs.
And now let's see where they re-emerge. So that should be Joe Gillette, who will be side by side. It's going to be close, but Martin has the corner. And he'll get a move on very quickly as Joe's harder compound tyres will be probably towards the end of their life. Perhaps in the next 5 or 6 laps he may want to consider a pit stop, unless he's been really conserving them. In which case, the crossover point halfway. Frelick, how will he respond? He's going straight to pit lane, Ed.
Yeah, sort of has to, because he risks being undercut by Martin otherwise, because it was only a 3-second gap. I say only, but that is still quite impressive. So Frelick comes in. I think is Luca Filin following him in too. There we go. So it looks like Wasserman is briefly going to inherit the lead.
Yeah, and fair play to David there, getting the Multiforce into P1 again. It's just a great chance to showcase him as he has taken those soft tires from the get-go. And fabulous drive for him, getting 13 places as of right now, but of course that will come down again. Federico Russo and Mirko Lucchini together for Alpha Delta on the podium, but Frelick has got the Frisland probably out of sync, but he will slot in behind. It's no risk at the moment. You can take off the calculator for a minute and just get back to work following Philip Koenig.
Yeah, it's almost a shame from Frelick's point of view that he doesn't have more cars in between himself and Jack Mayer's teammate. But certainly the Jack Mayer has recovered quite well despite the incident at the very start of the race with Saracino to get himself back up the order. We see Klaffenbach on a recovery of his own up the inside of that must be Sevillo then in the Rowan GP that he's dispatched there, as we see Riboli having a little spin in the infield just before that must be turn 7 then. It's coming out of Larinjana. No, it's actually Biga Di Pato he had the spin in, wasn't it? So there we go. That puts him down to 13th in the order, but I believe he's yet to pit, which is why the tyres are looking a bit spent. No, it's before that, and he's lucky to hold onto the front wing there as well.
Yeah, so he's lost all the momentum, so you can see the Netrex had a very simple job of getting down the inside of Riboli, the last remaining.
Wasserman pits from the lead.
So Wasserman, his turn in the lead comes to an end, and that allows the Alpha Deltas to go very long. Koenig defends the inside, as is his right, into Decido del Lago. Maybe he took a risk there defending, and Frelick will be irritated
really
by that.
unhappy. Yeah, look at him weaving all over the place. He knows Koenig is absolutely holding up and backing him into Carlos Martin here, and potentially he's also got the annoyance of the lapped car as well right behind him, which looks like that's Taris in the other Rowan GP, of course. Yeah. So Frelick, the Friesland's causing him major issues as well. Latinen and the other Friesland still not far behind Eileen as well in that battle for what's going to end up being top 7, top 8, isn't it? Behind the top runners. So Simon Frelick here, surely he's going to get a great run down the straight if Koenig doesn't even pit here. But the Alpha Dale is now holding on to the lead. I wonder how long they're going to run here.
Yeah, they must feel they can go deep into
They all stall top 3 on the medium tyre, but here comes Frelick then. Around the outside into turn 1.
And yes, he clears the way, and Jack Mayer in the middle of a 3 wide. I suppose the EP Lab of Gillette. He's not too concerned, whereas Vincent Gutt here is absolutely concerned. He really wants to prove Spark are the second best team in 2023. So he's got to keep the honour for his outfit, but there was no response to the inside line at the Decido del Lago.
Superbly judged by all 3 not to run into each other, going 3 wide into the center S there. Gillette got right out of the way on the old tyres quite sensibly, and they're a little bit too old. Round he goes, and he's going to hit the wall too, and that's a shame. Joe was doing so well there, and I think that might be the front wing. No, he somehow held onto it there, but lucky boy not to avoid any damage there. Joe Gillette there seems to be the man of the hour in GPVWC, appearing left, right, and center in all the Formula Sprint Championships, isn't he? These little cameos. But here we go. This is going to be scary, Eoin.
Yeah, let's watch it. So he's in the wake of Vincent, and yeah, it's similar to what we've seen previous instances.
Oh, I think he slowed right before the wall there. So great car control. He caught that really early. Now Koenig is being dropped by Martin now.
Yeah, so the ideal window for these tires have certainly passed at this stage. So he just needs to decide what his final call will be to make sure he can push hard towards the end. Vincent Gutt though still keeping up with Mayer though. Last lap time he was just half a second off, so yeah, it should stabilize now after the overtake was completed.
Yeah, Mayer's really up battle ahead because he's now basically running net third once the Alpha Deltas pit ahead of them, because they're running long and hoping to pit for, I think, for the softs in the final couple of laps.
Yeah, really ought to be the softs. It'd be ideal just to get the peak lap times possible when the fuel has certainly burned out.
More cars to hold up Frelick as well, so that's really going to lighten up the eyes of Carlos Martin, who's only 2 seconds down. He did get the gap just under 2 seconds, and now Frelick in some clear air started to push again. Got the gap to 6 seconds actually to Lacini. It was 5 earlier on, so actually the Alpha Deltas have got good pace on these mediums. Obviously Vincent Gutt struggling to stay within the DRS. He's 0.4 seconds behind, but it's going to have to be a risky move into turn 1 here, Eoin.
Yeah, and the risk is not worth it. He's too
Especially
far back.
Not on the championship leader.
No.
As Lacini pits, so it's going to be the mediums for Lacini.
Yeah, he must feel pretty satisfied with those tires, unless maybe RaceView has misguided us. I think he has changed onto the softs, but we'll double check that. yeah, Federico Russo should pit this time around. He's going to get the intel from his partner. So yeah, it should be the case. Russo only needs to go this lap, and then Frelick will re-inherit that lead. That is crucial to his survival in this championship hunt. But yeah, Jack Mayer well above target as of right now.
Yep, certainly, and that's exactly what he would have been hoping for. So it's Koenig and Russo running long, and Frelick still in the net lead of the race, just 6 seconds down on him. So yeah, I think Russo is running especially long here to try and make his strategy work, but it is going to make things tense for those behind the longer he stays out, as Harry Smith now is caught up to the back of Lattinen as Russo does pit, so both the athletes going for another stint on potentially the mediums or soft tyres with 13 laps to go.
Yeah, the soft tires should definitely be able to complete 13 laps. Yeah,
Harry Smith just ran out of road there. He's so much quicker into the centre. S had to back right off there. He's going to emerge. Is that on the TCS off cars? It's not
yeah,
I'm trying to figure out. It must be the Who. Yeah, it must be the Who then.
I believe that would be Alex LaHoo. Yeah. We'll see how much further up he can get. Yeah, it is LaHoo, yeah.
He's just got such a tough job though from that mistake early on, and it has to be said. It was a bit unlucky the contact with Martin, and we'll have to see if there's any penalties afterwards. But that's going to be no comfort for Alex really, because he's still in last position, not going to get any points out of this race most likely. But we'll have to see, because there's so much drama yet to happen. He might still benefit a few positions before this race is done. But Vincent, full credit to him, Jack Mayer's not been able to shake him here, has he?
No, I mean, the lap times are still very close. Let's check them out once again.
Only attempt quicker.
116.6, 116.6 both ways. So yeah, equally tied up drivers here right now. So yeah, Mayer will not get his settled finish by any means.
Yeah, settled podium here by any means. But we're going to see the friendship between Vincent and Jack Mayer put to the test here, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Vincent he can't let Martin escape in that team's championship, but also he doesn't want to take out the championship leader as well, and he's a good friend and valued ally, Jack Mayer, who goes really wide then through turn 7.
Yeah, they're very well-known personalities in GPWC. They've lent their support across the different ventures, I suppose. Jack Mayer, co-owner of MDR, for example, and then Vincent helps out with the media side of things as well. So yeah, a lot of skills off the circuit for these two drivers as well. But at the moment, I think Mayer may have found a little bit extra this time by. Let's confirm that now. Actually, no, quite the opposite. Vincent takes a 10th away from Mayer that lap time. He must have been the last sector. Yeah, it looked a little bit misleading, I suppose, from my point of view, so my bad.
Yep. So Vincent continues to close. Simon Frelick still slowly building out the gap to Martin, by the way, 2.2 seconds now. So we're probably going to have to look lower down if you want some action then, but Vincent and Jack, the closest battle on track, I think, that I can currently see. Although if I look further down, Harry Smith is right behind Jesse Lattinen. So Bylan and Lattinen, full credit to them. Just like in Abu Dhabi, they've done really well to get themselves into the top 5 and 6 respectively. And they could be well equaling their best finishes at the end of this one if they can stay there.
Yeah, for definite. So yeah, keep up the good work there so far. But yeah, you can see again on our timing tower, a lot of positions gained for Frank Hamming as well, +8. So yeah, that's his usual race 1 form. He doesn't have the qualifying pace as often as he'd like, but when it comes to the race, he has such a calm but certainly dogged attitude. So it means that he can make all those gains and possibly get reverse grid pole as well. So yeah, that could be an example. And Philip Koenig, that he should be able to push to the end. He should be excited at potentially picking off Mirko Lucchini if he carries on putting in strong lap times. But yeah, there's a bit of a long shot with the gap between them at 8 seconds.
Yeah, it's a shame, by the way, to see Alex Lahou retire from the race. Saracino, though, by the way, despite flipping on the lap, is now in 19th, only about 18 seconds behind 18th then. Well, Joe Gillette in 17th, his teammate, is only a couple of positions off the points despite that spin. So that shows you how crazy the race is, as Russo is all on those fresh soft tyres, all over the back of, that must be Moritz Kropp, who's fallen down to 10th, of course, after his difficulty hitting Lahou early on. I think Kropp really lost out in the pit stops, pitting early, didn't he? Because he got stuck in traffic.
Yeah, that is very true. He was one of the earliest to make a tyre change, 14 laps. His distance on the tyres, and now Federico Russo on still very fast tyres
as well.
Yeah, great purple first sector. But obviously, yeah, his bid to get the fastest lap will be compromised this go, but he has the outside line into Senna S. And Maritz realizes, yeah, I have to probably get him back later into the stint. There's no point going wheel to wheel here when I'm at a disadvantage. So yeah, Federico Russo could push on and get a very strong lap time and get the bonus point for fastest lap.
Remember, so crucial for Alpha Theta to score well, because they are only 7 points ahead of Rowan GP then. Rowan GP in the form of Hoekstra, no, it's HGP, sorry, I'm thinking it's Villo and Taras who's out. So yeah, no, so crucial for Alpha Theta just to finish here and extend that gap here. But the big championship fights, I think, we're going to see the Drivers' Championship, I think, settled by the end of this in just 9 laps' time. And we're going to see second in the Teams' Championship potentially change hands to Networks, with Vincent now 2 places behind Carlos Maldon, and Harry Smith still picking up points in 7th. By the way, from a Hunter Birch simulation point of view in British Touring Cars, we've just sealed both championships with Mike Bell winning, finishing 2nd place to his teammate Aloha Gatai in Willow Springs. So we're officially, for the 2nd time, EERC British Touring Car champions. So that's good for those interested who are losing interest in this championship, which I doubt they are. But just wanted to get that in there before we shift focus to what's actually important here in the terms of this broadcast. But Simon has controlled this race really beautifully, despite being ever so slightly held up by Koenig and a couple of the other back markers who decided to go long in the first stint. But other than that, he's not looked particularly troubled, has he? Carlos, though, has done his level best to hold on. 2.4 seconds the gap as it stands. So he's limited the damage here, Martin, and certainly P2 is going to be a big help in that Team's Championship. That's
likely what the Netrex team are requesting of him, just to get the lap times stable, as he has been doing very successfully so far, keep the tyres in check and secure the 2nd place, whereas Frelick really does need this win, even if Jack has currently got more than enough points in hand. It's just a case of, yeah, I want to be there to take advantage of any situation that may crop up. Yeah, Martin just needs to secure the 2nd place, and that'll be a job done for race 1 anyway. We have a good
Russo on the top
here.
Look, he's caught up right just within a second now of David Wasserman, and then he's got this train of cars: Hamming, Smith, Lattinen, Filin, all fighting over 5th position. So the Alpha Deltas are not out of the top 5 battle yet. In fact, we're seeing, is that Lattinen trying to fight with that must be Hamming and Smith battling, not Lattinen and Filin. Sorry.
Yeah, there's Tyling in the green Santen. He's clear, so Lattinen has the train to make sure he can hang on to another strong result for Frisland. And then Smith, we'll see him just there. And then Frank Hamming defending his P8 directly from the threat of Wasserman. And Russo right now on the ideal soft tyre. This may put a spanner in the works for sure. He would want any fight to be a straight 1v1 to maximise his strategy. But with the DRS coming up, it won't allow for Russo to close up sufficiently in the braking zone for Senna S. So yeah, this is a tricky situation for Russo.
Yep, it certainly is, because it's one thing
Oh.
catching and quite another passing up the inside of David Wasserman. He goes, and David Wasserman, knowing that he desperately needs to get these points from Older Force GP to stay ahead in that battle for fourth against sole remaining TCS off of Klaffenbach, cannot afford to drop out this race, especially with Menno only a couple of places ahead of him. So crucial not to be collected by the Alpha Delta, and he sacrifices that ninth position. So now Frank Hamming has got to clear Harry Smith pronto. It's pass or be passed here.
Yeah, that's absolutely it. So, yeah, Hamming will notice what's going on behind him. Yeah, it's just really stressful situation, knowing that if he looks in his mirrors too long, he'll miss out in his battle with Harry Smith. So, yeah, this should be the chance really to keep in DRS, just to salvage something from this scenario. But honestly, yeah, with Russo's form, he'll know he'll have to probably leave the door open for him on the inside for Senna S, as we saw him pull off the move successfully once before. So let's see. Yeah, having no doubt keeping one eye on his wing mirror and still trying to chase down Harry Smith for this crucial 7th position. So yeah, Russo's actually too far back this time, so Hamming has actually gained very healthily that lap. So it's actually a tie between Smith and Hamming, and then Russo didn't really get the ideal launch into the final sector he would have wanted.
Russo was still 3 or 4 attempts quicker on the previous lap, though, so the trend is that the tyres are still in his favour. The danger is the Alpha that could burn those softs up, pushing that a little bit too hard in the wake of those cars. Hamming makes a mistake through turn 5, so there potentially could be an opportunity here into Ferradura, but it's so difficult to pull that off in these cars. There's only really one line in these FS1 cars through that corner, and we've seen exactly what happens when you go off it, even to Jack Mayer, who's so nearly lost it. How different this title race could be looking if he'd actually not succeeded in saving that one.
Yeah, it'd be a completely different complexion in the season, but as of right now, Mayer's doing exactly what he needs to do, and then some. But Russo, to try and get Alpha Delta in contention for P7 in the championship, needs to make this move. Quite a long yellow there in sector 2. I don't see it, and it's not obvious, but here we go. Russo blocked on his preferred inside line. He's got to go the highway, and can he outbrake? It's going to be risky with the grass being so close, but he's found the braking point exactly where he needed to, didn't risk putting wheels on the grass, and he's made his pass.
Yeah, and Lattinen doing really well defending at the head of this train. But as you say, Russo slowly picking them off one by one. And is that Smith having another attack around the outside into turn 4 on the Friesland? So Lattinen under maximum pressure from a 7-car train here and doing really well to hold them all off.
Yeah, this is exceptional work from Lattinen to hold everyone back.
So Russo's very grateful, I think.
Yeah, this is now advantage time for Russo. He will have just 2 cars to contend with.
He's got the line. If he can pull this one, no, he doesn't get the exit. Vico Di Pato. And in fact, here comes Russo around the outside.
Yeah, Harry Smith had it covered, but it could be just a little bit too much to ask of him now into Jean Sao. No, maybe not. No. Okay, that's fair enough. But yeah, there's bad launch. Yeah, that should be Russo's slam dunk coming up now. He may be even able to get the slipstream off Lattinen. Here we go, DRS now open. And now it's going to take the inside dive bomb to do it. There you have it.
Lucchini is attacking Wasserman and Kropp behind, and he's got... Oh no, he hasn't been able to pass either of them, and it's all getting very, very hectic here as they're all starting to trip over each other as the medium tyres are starting to die at the end of this stint now, aren't they? As we see a penalty for Joe Gillette, who'd fallen down to 20th, so I assume he's either made a pit stop or something's gone very wrong there.
Yeah, something has definitely cost Joe there, but we'll have to worry about that towards the end and see how that transpires. But Russo, just one more card to challenge in order to maximize this mediums to soft strategy. And yeah, he's just got to hang on in there a little bit longer. The temptation, I'm sure, is there. But yeah, the DRS should guide him the rest of the way. And yeah, here we go. Just has to get the corner exit right. Lattinen tries to perform the U entry, getting as much turn in as possible to make sure his exit speed is good, but it's not going to be good enough here. Russo has the DRS power to himself, and Latinen defends the ordinary racing line, but that just is a gimme for Russo in this form that he's in.
Oh, and look behind, there's Hamming trying to have a go at Harry Smith now as well. Actually gets a very, very good exit here. So Frank Hamming, the smiling assassin as we call him, looking for that late race charge, and Harry Smith is going to have to really fight to hold on here, and potentially might even still have a go, as we see Licini again being foiled in his attempt to pass Moritz Kropp then. But Moritz Kropp goes a little bit wide through turn 5, so Licini's going to have at least the inside here, which becomes the outside for Ferragira. How far is he going to swing on the outside here? It's not going to be enough.
Oh no, that's Hamming.
And Hamming is around. Oh, and they trip over each other. Licini tangles with, that must be Harry Smith then. And that's a real heart and mouth moment for Netrex then, because that means their lead over Spark now is going to be much less after that.
Oh, that must have been just frightening to see that. And yeah, I can understand. Yeah, there was no real possibility of avoiding that. So Hamming losing the grip as well.
Done.
Yeah, Harry.
So Hamming and Smith go around, and then the Alpha Delta of Licini arrives as well. There we go, and there's the Frisland of Latinen, I think, just slotting in between.
No, that'll be Koenig, I think. Koenig
yes,
arrived.
Koenig
Yeah. Yeah, Koenig would arrive. So here's Licini. He's trying to go the long way, and you can see, look at that. Yeah, see, there's no question.
Oh. And Licini nearly avoided him as well, but he just could not go wide enough off track there. And now he's in the horrible position, facing the wrong way. The best of those soft tyres are gone, sadly.
Yeah, for the second time, Kropp did his utmost to avoid an accident. And yeah, there was certainly no way for Licini to get around that either. So full credit to those drivers for doing their best to avoid a catastrophic crash there. And yeah, just really unlucky. There's nothing they could have done.
Russo closing 8 temps on Luca Filan, the gap 2 seconds then, so he might catch on the final lap, but it's going to be a tall order to snatch another 5th position off the Santen driver. But here comes Simon Frelick to enter his final lap now, 4.3 seconds ahead of Carlos Martin. He's done everything he needed to do, but starting so far back in the championship, it's not going to be enough unless something very, very dramatic happens here between Gut and Jack Mayer, which I don't think it's about to.
Yeah, even if you added a 10-second penalty to Mayer's time, he'd still finish 7th or 6th thereabouts. So even if he was penalised for the turn 1 incident, then he should be fine to become a double champion. FS2 last season and now FS1 in 2023, going back to back. But yeah, Frelick, the star of the show here, has done his absolute best here. There's still perhaps a 1% chance at this stage, and 1% is better than 0. Yeah, 5 or so corners to go now until he'll take the race 1 victory that he so richly deserved from the pole position. He has dominated this affair, and yeah, just needs to get through it and do his required work just to be sure he is the winner. So here we come now. Final corner, turn 15 is done. Shimon Frelick wins, as he required to do to stand any chance, but it may be a muted affair because he can now pay attention to his teammate Jack Mayer coming down the start finish straight, and he is the brand new 2023 Formula Sprint 1 champion, and that is a fantastic season. He's been there from the get-go. Perhaps Frelick was the bright candle that burnt out, but Mayer has been absolutely brilliant, and he deserves this championship, Ed.
Yeah, but there we go. Only lost 9 points, so he had that 10-point buffer, and it was so crucial that Jack Mayer made those moves early on in this race. He's had a great season, fully deserved, and look at the 2 TOPs going side by side there, and Vincent weaving around like he's happy that he didn't destroy Jack Mayer's championship, even though he did lose out on that podium, and that could well, despite that drama for Harry Smith at the end, could well cost a Spark in the team's championship. But what an exciting race there, and Simon Frelick, though, controlled it from the start, and you have to say well done for keeping the championship as alive as long as he did, because he was a long way down in the points now, and he's only going to end the championship, I think, about 30 points, 31 points, I think, behind his teammate. But of course, with only 2 races to go, 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 21 left on offer, that it wasn't going to be enough. So it was, like I say, 10 points out. But nonetheless, great season from the pair of them. But it is Jack Mayer that walks away with the championship. As you say, he does the double, deservedly so.
Yeah, and the slowdown lap now. We should have everybody sorted for the conclusion. Let's just make absolutely certain one has crossed the line. Yeah, there we have it. And there's your winner for race 1, Szymon Frelick. He had that as a minimum, really to stand any chance. But Carlos Martin finishing P2. Got closer towards the end, but it wasn't enough. But there's your champion. He's done it with P3. And we'll now have the ceremony on the start-finish straight. And yeah, lots of respect the traditional donuts, marking the honour of Mayer becoming the driver's champion. And of course, TOP, the team's champions for the season. And completing the top 10, we've Vincent Gutt, Lucas Tylien, Federico Russo, David Wasserman, Yassi Latinen, Maritz Kropp, and Philip Koenig. The other drivers who will take some points with them heading into race 2 will be Harry Smith, Frank Hamming, Mirko Lucchini, Menno Klont, and Massimiliano Raboli. Christopher Sfillo, Julian Klaffenbach, Giuseppe Saracino, Wopke Hoekstra, and Joe Gillette complete the top 20, but do not get any points for this showing. And the 5 drivers that did not get to see the checkered flag: Oliver Taras, Alex Lahou, Maciej Hille, Mateusz Gazowski, and Danny van der Neet.
So some interesting news, by the way, in the team's championship. So it was a 12-point swing, 25 to 13 between Netrex and Spark. So now Spark lead Netrex by just 2 points with 1 race to go, Eoin.
Yeah, that is really important to the Netrex team. There's probably been no point where Spark haven't been second. Of course, they were very strong in Imola back in March. But Netrex have pulled in a lot of points in the second half of the season. And now with one final race to go, there is a chance for Netrex to peak when it matters most. And that is certainly one to think about. It will be a certainly a crest-falling sort of opinion there for Spark. But there's one last chance, and we'll see how they get on after this quick break. So stay tuned as we have crowned a new champion in Jack Mayer. Welcome back, viewers. This is the last race coming up for the 2023 campaign, the 24-lap sprint. My name's Eoin Harmon and Ed Hunter alongside me. We have witnessed the conclusion of the Drivers' Championship fight. Jack Mayer got the podium that made absolutely certain to become champion. So, yeah, it is the case now. You can put the hair down and just drive for a bit of fun now upon becoming the champion. But obviously you want to do it as strongly as possible. But of course, we have the reverse grid coming up, and a very interesting name has won the draw.
Indeed, it is Lunark's Moritz Kropp, who I believe finished after a difficult race, because I think he just got inside the top 10, didn't he?
P9.
There we go, because he was fighting up front early on, hit the back of not Carlos Martin, it was Alex Lahou, just after Martin made contact with him, and then pit very early and fell down the field, so he'll be looking to make amends for that. But we have a very, very interesting situation in the Teams Championship. So Netrex GP in that race gained 12 points on spot race. They were 14 behind, so now they're only 2 behind going into this final race. Meanwhile, Multiforce GP were 11 points behind TCS off. TCS off with Klaffenbach 17th and Lahou not finishing, scored no points whatsoever. Multiforce GP scored exactly 11 points. So we have 2 teams equal in the battle for 4th and only 2 points apart in the battle for 2nd then. So very much game on for those top positions.
Yeah, and that's wonderful to see. It'll keep our attention, very, very, it'll keep us engaged to the end, I'm sure. So, yeah, that's what we have to look forward to now, as the race direction have signaled all drivers in their places for the formation lap. So here they all come, one by one.
Alex Lahou, by the way, says in the chat, "Hi, what a great day." Clearly, he is not happy with the way race 1 went, by the sounds of things. And of course, the problem here, the 2 TCS off cars got to start right at the back, whereas we got Wasserman starting 3rd in one of the Multiforces, and then of course his teammate Menno is going to be starting in 14th then. So very much all to do for TCS off if they want to finish ahead. It's winner takes all in the battle for 2nd and the battle for 4th.
That is very, very much the case. And here we go. Our final grid with the reverse grid draw is as follows: Moritz Kropp and Yassi Latinen on the front row, David Wasserman and Federico Russo. Russo, for example, had that soft tire stint that certainly brought him to the fore. Lucas Tylene and Vincent Gutt 5th and 6th. Our new champion, Jack Mayer 7th, and his rival from previous races, but certainly was Martin versus Freilich. He's at P8 with Freilich himself 9th, Koenig 10th, Smith 11th, and Hamming 12th. Drivers who have points in their control: Mirko Lucchini, Menno Klont, and Massimiliano Riboli, with Christers Fillo the first looking to try and take something away from those drivers. Julian Klaffenbach has got a chance now to try and redeem himself here in 17th, with Saraceno 18th, Wopke Hoekstra 19th, and Joe Gillette 20th. And then 21st through 23rd, the remaining drivers: Oliver Taras, Alex Lahou, and Danny van der Neet. So I think Build Sim are now completely vanished from the race. Unfortunately, I think Shay's feeling unwell. Jan in the chat said Matt Shay was feeling unwell, so we won't get to see him with his race 2 flair for this one. So that's a shame, but a chance now for a lot of drivers to make their names shine in lights. Moritz Kropp, of course, he's done superbly well. Latinen could get Frisland a very unexpected victory here after their struggles earlier in the season. So yeah, a lot to look forward to beyond those teams' battles as well, Ed.
Yeah, Latinen and Luca Fine have really come alive in these final couple of races. All that difficulty. Remember, Latinen was struggling to finish in the top 10 in his first couple of appearances with Frisland. and he's really come on strong, which is great to see because he has so much support in the chat. They always talk about Yassi Latin supremacy, and he's got one final chance to finish on the podium this season. I think maybe Moritz Krop's going to be a little bit too quick, to be honest, but you never know. It'd be interesting to see our new champion Jack Mayer, how much progress he can make through the field. We saw him go from 8th on the grid to 3rd. I imagine we're going to see a similar fight back here. And of course, Simon Frelick starting in 9th after winning race 1 is going to have a big fight with Carlos Martin to try and move through the field too. But yeah, all these new relative newcomers starting a bit higher up the field, they're going to be feeling very confident. And there's a mix of tyre choices too, by the looks of things. Some people going on the softs and others going on the mediums as the lights are going on.
And now here we go, the final race of 2023, round 16. It's all go eventually. There it is. They're launched. So let's see what happens now. So Oliver Turra may have just disconnected all of a sudden. But a long way around. Latinen tries to find that inside gap. But Krop gets
and a right under the curve.
On the curb with Latinen. And the TOP drivers now together for the first time all weekend after Mayer did not qualify as well as would have hoped. So let's see how they get on. Long way around there for Wasserman in P3.
Oh, and the TOP swapping positions again. It was Frelick that got the better getaway, but Mayer has got the inside coming out of turn 5 and goes around the outside into Ferrodura. There we go. That's a world champion move there on his teammate, no less. And now he wants a piece of Vincent Gut almost immediately. No time to take a breath here. No rest for the world champion, is there? As Julian Klaffenbach has lost the rear wing, and that's absolutely fatal for TCS Off Racing's hopes of holding on in that battle there. Equal, reminder, in that battle for 4th with Multiforce GP, and of course Wasserman running third at the moment, so it's looking pretty bad at the moment. All their hopes rest on Lehu in 18th.
Yeah, so let's see the best of Alex for this final race. He is on the softer tyre, so he'll have to push early on. But Koenig has a threat right behind him. It is Frank Hamming. Hamming does eventually get the inside, and Latinen in the lead. This is
making good use of the softs because Krop has gone for the mediums here. Krop, Russo, Martin, Gert, Mayer, Frelick, all those on the mediums. The others in the top 10, Filin, Wasserman, Latinen, all on the softs.
Yeah, this is a real treat for the Latinen supremacy. He will now have the chance to pull away with those softs, get Moritz Krop away from his DRS, which will open up next time by. Menno Klunt has now overtaken the other Frisland as well, so Koenig not having quite the same joy as his teammate.
Yep, certainly Koenig on the mediums though, Menno Klunt on the softs, so, and Menno, even with the difficulties for TCS Off Racing, as we see yet another penalty for Joe Gillette, who's fallen near the back of the field, ahead of only Klaffenbach, who's lost his rear wing, of course, so it's not been a great FS1 debut for Joe Gillette, sadly, but he has shown pace and a bit of good judgment on occasion. He's not run into any of the leaders at least. But here comes Wasserman then all over the back of Moritz Krop. Now this may go back in favour of the Lunark driver once these guys pit, if indeed they do. But it's all about time management. Then through goes David Wasserman up the inside into turn 1, and now he's got to chase down Yasse Latinen, who's got to do a repeat of race 1. But not only is he going to be holding off a huge train of cars, he's going to be holding on to the lead as Lehu sets fastest lap of the race, and that is exactly what TCS Off Racing needed.
No doubt about it. So we'll see how that setup works for Lehu with more traffic to deal with. A high line there for Thailand. Perhaps Moritz Krop has to watch out yet more. And Taras, another beautiful overtake with the soft tire advantage through Desida Dolago. Sorry, that's Riboli. Yeah, on Riboli. So yeah, Riboli now is 17th. Taras, watch the slide. Yeah, that we've seen plenty of that in race 1 already. So yeah, hopefully he's not going to have that repeat again. So yeah, pushing as hard as he can. But now Tylee wants to get a San 10 onto the podium. So this is another turn up for the books with the previous form out the window.
Yeah, the good news is Finan is the last person really in range on the soft tyres. The next being Menno Klunt, who's still outside the, just outside the top 10 at the moment, just behind Frank Hamming. But here he comes then, and again, just going right to the outside, not fighting these guys at all, Moritz Krop, and that's as long as they pit, that's quite sensible. But if they're able to get these softs to last, that's going to look like maybe you should have fought them a bit harder. But it's easy to say that now. We still got 20 laps to go.
Yeah, the softs lasted, in Freilic's case, I think it was 15, 16 laps. A few drivers pitted early.
Looking a bit second-hand by the end as well.
Yes, that is true. So, yeah, Maritz must have felt his experience in race 1. But those softs was too burdensome, so we'll check out the race replay of our launch.
Look at Meyer, he bogs down completely.
Yeah. So that would have been really uncomfortable for the new champion. He's now on the high line this time, so this is Klaffenbach, who lost his rear wing.
That's Gillette on the inside, and one of the HGPs, that's Hoekstra that hit him. Oh. And then the EP lap just comes spinning in. There's no chance to avoid it.
Yeah, that was out of his reach as well, so that's...
And that's Van den Eet spins around as well. So that's not good news for Spark, because Van den Eet really needs to finish well, because Martin is still right ahead of Vincent in a rerun almost of race 1. So that's going to get very, very interesting as well. And they've still, of course, got Harry Smith running into the final points paying position in 15th.
Yeah, so on board with Lou, he's going to see his teammate get squeezed in between Rowan. Oh, yeah, and Lou also had the spin, so yeah, that couldn't have gone any worse. Yet again for TCS off, it's the story of their season in some respects. There's Mayer getting bogged down, so he's already losing 2 positions straight away. Now he's on the high line, so he has to try and fight back against his teammate, which he almost did, so fair play. Oh, they're very close. So Freilich was certainly on the same wavelength.
He gets ahead in turn 4 and 5 here, look, because they've got Vincent ahead of them. Mayer's got the inside. Freilich tries to break late around the outside, but then he's sort of hung out to dry. And Mayer, he's so close to the back of Vincent as well. That was really risky there, but he judged it superbly well, and then just held on around the outside here into Ferradura. So fantastic stuff.
Yeah, and then
even counting Vincent as well.
Yeah, we won't forget that. But this was the move that put Latinen into the lead. He has to use his soft tires to his advantage, and of course, Mart's crop has different ideas. So there was no sense in that being a war of attrition there. So Latinen made his breakthrough, got the lead, but Wasserman, this most recent lap, did lose some time, but he's still in DRS, so that can be clawed right back. Menno Klant versus Frank Hamming, also in progress here. Perhaps with Freilich ahead, they will try and stay neat and tidy for a few more laps. But Menno on the softer tires, yeah, he may have to make his dive very soon. An equal fight here, Taras versus Lahou on the same compound for 14th position.
Yeah, Lahou isn't too far actually behind Menno Klant though, so that's cruel. He just hits the back into Ferradura there of one of the HGPs. That's of course Rowan GP, sorry, that's Oliver Taras. I'm never going to stop mixing those two up, am I? But yeah, that was a scary, scary moment for Alex there. And Latinen! Latinen is out of the race from the lead.
Well, that is a sudden loss of so he just must have immediately crashed. Let's figure it out exactly.
No, it's a disconnection going through Mergulo.
Okay.
Oh, that is bitter goal for Yassi Latinen.
That's bitter. That is a bitter blow. For Island, that would have been a dream come true to win in 2023, but they will hopefully try again next time. But the news transforms here in Mike Quint's original car. The number 11 has been a very prominent vehicle earlier on in the season, and now David Wasserman has brought it back to the top spot with Lucas Tylene, who wants to get Santen their best result of the entire season right at the end as well. So that will be the new battle to watch. But of course, the Rowan GP team have work to do here, sandwiched in between Lucchini and Lahou.
Yeah, and this is brilliant for Multiforce because they win the race. They can't possibly lose out to TCS off no matter what happens. And Klaffenbach still 22nd, a long way down in the pack. He's not even past the retired Latinen yet as I speak. So yes, we've got Oliver Taras just really struggling behind Lucchini then. And there is Klaffenbach struggling on. But on those softs, it's going to be quite a job for Julian to score any points today from that far back, given the issues he's had But credit to him, the 14-year-old is going to press on. Press on he must, because otherwise TCS off have got no chance. But it's Alex Lahou who now really is going to have to make a lot of moves here. And remember, all 4 of these championship contenders for 4th in the team's championship are on the soft tyres. So they are going to have to pit again up the inside of the Roan GP of Oliver Tarras. Goes Alex Lahou, but he's not quite able to pull the move off. There's not quite enough room and overlap. And now he's going to have to refocus for turn 4.
And refocus he does. He goes straight to the normal racing line, and yeah, the overspeed is too irresistible. And Oliver Tarras has realised, yeah, he's been beaten this time.
There's a bit of DRS that helped him there as well, I think.
Yeah,
he gets
some help. Yeah, Lahou just, he had the measure of him this time. And again, using more than enough curbs before turn 8. So this will be Lucchini on his medium. So perhaps the soft tyres have 1 or 2 more laps in their prime condition before they start to wear out a bit. We'll continue to monitor lap times. They should all be roughly in the 116s, 117s at this point. And yeah, Tylene on his own, he can just worry about staying in DRS. At the moment, he's probably just inside DRS now, so he needs to try and get at the detection point less than 1 second. So no, it seems like Fosseman has found some great pace at the minute. So he gained half a second that time.
Yeah, and Moritz Krupp, meanwhile, 4 seconds down, 1.4 seconds ahead of Federico Russo. So if the soft tyres can't get to the end, and I suspect they won't be able to without losing chunks of time, and not at least not without having to pit for another set of soft tyres, then I think Moritz Krupp is still quitting to win this one. But behind Russo, you've got Martin 9 tenths down, Kurt 7 tenths down, Mayer 4 tenths down, Frelick 7 tenths down, then Frank Hamming another 7 tenths, Menno Collins 3 tenths down. So huge train of cars there in that battle for 4th position. As up the inside goes Lucchini. Good move there on the, is that the Roan GP? In fact, he completely messes it up and tags wheels there. So Mirko 40 was clear. Unfortunately, he was not, and Tarras goes down the field with him. That was the man he tangled with.
Yeah, it was just the temptation to get back on the power. Yeah, it's just, yeah, they had different priorities at different parts of the corner turn-in, so I've been investigating now with our race replay, so we'll see now the move will be completed into turn 8, so yeah, he's already a bit exposed on the uphill through 6 and 7. Now there we go, inside line, defended, but around the outside. Yeah, that will be the outside line then. That's a shame for Lucchini losing out there.
Good news for Netrex, because that gives Harry Smith 2 free positions, of course. As this is the battle of Russo being passed by Carlos Martin, so it gets even better then.
Yeah, that's huge. So well done to Martin for making that pass. His job will be trying to catch up with the reverse grid pulse.
Martin's not out of the... Yeah, Martin's not out of the battle for the win yet, actually. His pace has been
that's true.
not too far, only 3 tenths behind Krupp on the previous lap. The gap 2.3 seconds, so he's got to absolutely go for it here as we see Vincent battling away with Russo. Now it's his turn to try and get past the Alpha Delta. Look at Martin sprinting away ahead of him.
Yeah, that is quite clinical, to be honest. So well done to Martin. Just got to push on as he's doing, and then the big train will now follow in behind Federico. So Vincent Guts will be the first to have a go with the new champion, Jack Mayer, now getting on board with him. Let's see if there's any potential for a pass here. Wopke Hoekstra has entered pit lane, so he's one of the first, as is Mirko Lucchini, no doubt, having lost that momentum. It probably makes sense to try and go to the finish on a new set of tyres.
Yeah, and we also see Saracino passing Harry Smith, so actually not quite as good news for Netrex as it looked, but Harry Smith getting those 2 points, Carlos Martin 2 places ahead of Vincent, that's just about more than enough to give Netrex second in the team's championship, unless Danny Van Der Neek can sneak his way into the points then, so it's still hanging very much in the balance, and Vincent, it's imperative for him that he passes Russo and does not get passed by the fearsome TOP pairing.
That's for definite. He's really got to hang on in there. maybe try and make one more gain in the pit stops, for example, with Russo just ahead. So, yeah, Mir will...
If there are pit stops for those on the mediums,
Yeah, that's
of course.
true, yes, yeah.
And in fact, Wasserman pits from the lead, that's just as we say that. So Filin takes
that makes
present.
sense, yeah. I certainly get your point there, Ed. So, yeah, the mediums want to go to the finish, whereas the soft tyres have to boot on a new set and go again as we reach the halfway point of this sprint. So, yeah, down the order Wasserman goes. And, yeah, he'll have a new set of soft tyres to try and claw back everything that he's had to give up here. So, be mindful of the tricky right-hander out of pit lane and now flat out past the barriers and back onto the circuit. So, he has no threat behind him in 15th. With Taras there in the background too far back, whereas Riboli in 14th is the first driver he's got to get by.
Yeah, in the orange and white pixelate machine. So Wasserman, this is the crucial thing because he needs to start picking these guys off quickly. And Filin, he knows when he stops, he's almost certainly going to come out behind Wasserman, unless he has a superb in-lap. So I have to keep an eye on Filin, but I suspect staying out a bit longer is not going to be the winning strategy here because he's just going to give himself too much time. Have to make up, and he's coming in immediately. He had to respond to that.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see how he gets on in the pits. So Mart's crop returns to the race lead. Carlos Martin will be pushing as hard as he can now. Last time around, they're virtually neck and neck. So yeah, Martin has to dig down deep to try and claw that deficit back. Wasserman, job number 1 versus Riboli. It's done. So P14 will soon become 11 because Tylene will be neck and neck with him here.
Tylene gets a penalty for speeding in the pit.
Oh, sugar, yeah.
That's horrible for Santen.
Blow.
He's still in the race at least, unlike Paul Yassin Latinen, of course, who was disconnected. Yeah. And Tylene emerges just behind Riboli to add insult to injuries. Lucchini sets the new best lap time of the race. Of course, he pit very early on for a new set of softs, and he is down in 18th position. So, by the way, also we saw Menno Klont Alex, who pitted exactly the same time, and Menno has emerged just ahead of Alex. So that battle is going to rage on with potential implications depending on what happens to Wasserman, of course, in the team's championship. As here's Luca just having to look up the inside of Riboli into Pico di Pato, and Riboli is going to leave plenty of space around the outside, but just immediately tucks to the inside through Mogulio. And now that leaves Luca to complete the move around the outside into Junchao, but surely he's heading for the pit lane before too long to serve that drive-through.
Yeah, that will completely ruin any hopes of getting more than a point, to be honest. It's going to be really, really tough to return to form after a penalty at this track with the enduring pit lane. It'll slow you down.
Martin's pace has dropped a bit. He's now 3 seconds behind, and Russo is actually less than a second behind him. So I wonder if Federico Russo was saving his mediums and Martin was pushing to try and get track position earlier on because he knew there was that threat from Vincent in the team's championship.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, Vincent has to... he has a lot of responsibility on his shoulders. If he goes at Russo too soon, it may burn up his tyres and cost him in the long run. Whereas, of course, if he backs off too much, he's got the dominant 2 drivers right behind. Of course, Freilich, the pole sitter in race 1, converted it into the win, as he needed to do. And, of course, Mir got the podium and secured the championship in fell swoop. So, yeah, Vincent is in a position I do not envy.
Certainly not, but the important thing now, Van der Neat, by the way, is now just a place outside the points, about 3 seconds off of Menno Klont, who's holding that final point Spain position at the moment. Although Menno, of course, on a new set of softs, Danny Van der Neat on the mediums. So Danny is not pit and is going to the end. He's going to try and hold off Hoekstra, who's right behind him. But so the interesting part of this race now is how much ground can Wasserman make up. Filin is basically out of it. I think Wasserman might be able to catch up to Koenig Hamming if he has a cleaner stint here. He's right behind Harry Smith now already. As in comes Riboli. Looks like Luca Filin is waiting to the last possible moment to serve that drive-through though.
Yeah, I suppose the fact that he has new tyres on, he does want to get some benefit out of them. But yeah, he is going to be kicking himself for that penalty.
I'll tell you what, the pressure is on Wasserman now, though, because Alex Lahou got past Menno Klont, so that's crucial in the team's championship. Still got Klappenbach gamely battling on 2 laps down, but Lahou is going to try and get past both of these Multiforce GPs. He's got to hope that Harry Smith and Saracino just absolutely hold up Wasserman, or Wasserman makes a mistake or something, and he's able to get. And of course, when Phelan pits to serve the drive-through, it's going to be a free place for Lahou. Here he comes, though, Wasserman to the inside.
Harry Smith he's no response to that. So Wasserman gets back on the racing line before the braking zone, and he's well away now. So Harry Smith has not done the favour there for TCS off. But perhaps,
not that much of a favour to Netrex, although he couldn't have done too much against the Multiforce. But Martin doing more than enough in second at the moment. 2 places ahead of Vincent, getting still stuck behind Russo, who's been defending very, very stoutly, and in fact has even closed on Martin, as I mentioned earlier. So Martin ahead of a very, very fearsome train. I don't think either Martin or Gut are in enviable positions here, especially not Vincent, having a reigning new champion Jack Mayer all over the back of him and looking to finish ahead of him as he did in race 1.
Yeah, that's for sure. So let's see what happens next. We're heading towards lap 17 now. Martzkopf should be crossing the line in just a moment with Jack Mayer 5 seconds or thereabouts down the road. There we go, Martz. Yeah, ticks over to lap 17. And this battle for the podium rages on, but as you can see, Russo slightly ahead of Vincent Gut, so that is a big difference in his favour. Martin, though he has gained 6 positions, he has not really threatened Martzkopf for the win at the moment. So let's see how else things develop, as these drivers in the top 9 are all on the harder compound of tyre. So Wasserman, the highest placed driver who has made a pit stop for softs.
And look at that, Alex Lahou 115.5 with a 38.3 in the purple middle sector there. Absolutely superb from the TCS Ultras. Alex Lahou is not giving up on trying to snatch that 4th position in the team's championship away from Multiforce GP. He's absolutely going for it, but he's really fighting with one hand behind his back.
Yeah, that is the trick. Unfortunately, he has a lot to do.
He's got a 9-second gap to Harry Smith, though, so plenty of room to play with. He's trying to build a gap to Menno. Is all he can really do at this point. He's just got to hope that Wasserman makes a marginal move, trying to struggle to get his way back up the order, because you lose so much time with a pit stop here that those that went for the mediums have clearly gone for the right choice here. You were never going to get the softs to last for 24 laps, sadly. And nobody seems to have tried it either, so Martzkopf called it absolutely perfectly from reverse grid pole. And to be fair, Martin just starting to fight back a little bit, and he's dragging Russo with him, so Martzkopf can't get too comfortable here, but he's certainly got some breathing space between the train of 7 angry cars behind him. 6 angry cars, I should say. They're not angry, Jack Mayer's champion, so 5 angry cars and 1 relatively pleased car.
Yeah, he won't be too worried now that he had to go through the anxiety of trying to win the championship in the first place. There were times where perhaps it was slipping away, but he did regain.
Ray literally nearly slipped away from him, and he saved it perfectly. So that was a moment, and that's the sort of moment that shows the car control that a world champion in FS1 needs to have, because these cars are such beasts to drive around, and if you lose concentration for just 1 millisecond, I mean, you can suddenly find yourself revving too hard, hitting a curb, making a tiny error with huge consequences that costs you a win, a championship, or best ever result. Little things that make a big difference in the end. Every point is so crucial, as we're seeing in this team's championship in the battles for 2nd and 4th, going absolutely down to the wire, with Netrex coming look ahead. Oh, free wide and Wasserman. Oh, that's brave. And surely he's not going to get past both Saracino and the Frizzlin here of Koenig. Well, he's just got Koenig, but wow, Saracino putting up a great fight here.
Yeah, he's certainly got the fight, but now Saracino's exposed on his own here, because the Frizzlin wants position back, and hopefully they've responded to one another. Yes, they have. So Koenig, you're joking, it's Thailand out of the race.
He's been
Eileen out
disqualified
of the
because he
race.
didn't serve the drive-through, so either
Yeah.
he wasn't informed.
Yes.
Oh, and round goes Saracino.
Oh my word, it's all happening now here on lap 19. So Tylene
about to save
instantly
that one.
disqualified for not taking the penalty.
He needed to do it within 3
Saracino.
laps.
Yeah, Saracino losing time there with a spin at Larangina. So let's get this process now. So we start with Wasserman. He's got the 2 drivers to overtake with DRS on the very, very inside of Senna S. And there was the first case of how the EP Lab defended the position. Now with the slipstream now coming back to Koenig, we'll see now that Vossman is ahead. So yeah, he'll be on the inside, but now on board with Saracino. What happened to him? So he's currently ahead of Koenig, and he perhaps didn't get the ideal turn. Yeah,
Turned
there
in a
you
bit
go.
early, and that gives him a shallow line. He just loses it mid-corner. Lucky to collect it, though, and he merges only just behind the Frizzlin of Koenig. So Saracino, I think, very eager to get back through there. Let's look at this. Simon Frelick must be getting so frustrated at the back of Jack Mayer's car. That sort of sums up some of his season, really. Very good performance, but still stuck behind his teammate.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, bit of prize still to be fought for here. So yeah, with a couple of laps to go now, not quite the end, but so far Marit's crop has been certainly he left his own devices in the lead as Martin had to fight up the grid from the original P8. I think he had, so now he's P2. There you go. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Martin had lost out in the reverse grid draw. So from P8, he's fought his way back up to P2, but Marit's crop on the pole position. He's never let it go once those soft tires drivers come into the pit. So yeah, he's held it ever since. So we'll see now. There's another battle. Smith and Saracino again, I think, are neck and neck.
Koenig also hit trouble too, because he seems to fall back. So maybe both cars took a bit of damage there. But Saracino now down to 10th and more points for Netrex then. So it's looking pretty bleak for Spark and Vincent Gert, and indeed Danny Van Der Neet, who frustratingly is still a few seconds away from the final points position held by Lucchini. So there we go. But also a good beneficiary is Lehu, who gains a few more points on... no, Menno got through as well. So actually it's pretty much the same situation really, with Wasserman still stuck in 8th and 5 seconds down on Hamming. He lost 2 temps, by the way, in that battle with Koenig and Saracino on that, like, to the cars in front of him. But he should still be lapping pretty quickly. Yeah, he's got back into 116s 2s now. So as long as he laps a second lap quicker, he might just catch Hamming on the final lap. But it's looking a bit unlikely, unfortunately, for Multiforce that are going to be better than 8th here.
Yeah, would require 2 seconds a lap and then some. But yeah, Vincent Gut, the
Russo's really starting to hold him up now.
Russo has not been able to maintain his lap times here, so Vincent Gutt's got to go for a watch out with Freilich behind Mayer as well. So Vincent will go around the outside at the Cida Lago. Watch out for the TOPs. Freilich and Mayer, small contact, and of course Frank Hamming is watching with interest to see what happens here. So yeah, you've got to go one at a time through.
Hooray for Russo to hold on around the outside of Vincent Gert as Hamming just about collects that one up, and we've seen many drivers pull that one and Vincent in trouble.
Oh, this could be a 2-on-1 situation here. The TOP guys may have to work together for just a moment on the inside of Freilich. Oh goodness, they're going to go down the hill towards Zhongkao, and we'll see if there's any move to be done for Freilich. No, it's not going to happen there. He'll equalise right behind, but Frank Hamming, he really wants these points for HGP to end the season on a high for the team, trying to compete for 5th in the championship, although that'll be a long shot. Here we go. Hamming has a double shot here.
Oh, he's got the inside. This is a great opportunity for Frank Hamming to get 2 places in one, and it's that Freilich going off the road and into the wall.
Yeah, he's come to a stop. Yeah, just by the marshal's post. Oh, he's done well to avoid. Yes, that's a big gain. Vossman gains all that time, and now you can see the Multiforce. He's got perhaps 3 or 4 seconds out of several drivers that lap. So Vincent Gutt still off the podium at the moment. Federico Russo holding on. Yeah, Freilich.
Russo got DRS on Gut. So Gut made the move into turn 1 and 2, I think, in center S, and then immediately got parked in with DRS, much to his frustration and consternation, as Carlos Martin now well and truly has escaped up the road and is less than 2 seconds behind Krop. So Krop is not quite out of the woods yet, but he may have just enough margin to hold on here. But this really opens up for Wasserman to close right on the back of May. He's only just under 2 seconds behind now.
Yeah, he'll have the final lap to do it. So he's got to dump all the fuel now, try and push as hard as he can and hope for more hijinks between these drivers.
Oh, this is a lovely... We thought he was dying down a bit, but suddenly Russo started defending like crazy and we got an immense battle, and that double move from Frank Hamming was quite impressive as well. I think that's certainly going on his season highlights reel. Unless he does a better move here on the final lap. Look at Russo really struggling for curb result, and Gut is through. And surely Mayer is going to get through here as well.
Yeah, the resistance is broken for Alpha Delta. -3 in 2 corners, so that's absolutely battering. This field devastating for that. So there we go. Vincent Gut P3, Frank Hamming P4, Jack Mayer P5, and Wasserman has 1.5 sectors to go. He has a chance. We'll compare the times. Russo 20.2, of course, and 19.0 for Wasserman. So he has a little bit of time, but it could come down to the final DRS zone. Moritz Kropp has 4 more corners to go, and this is the final necessarily heartbreaking point, and he's got it done. So here we go, Ed. Do you want to take this one? Moritz Kropp on his way.
Yeah, here we go. It's going to be his and Lunark's second win of the season here in race 2 in São Paulo. Moritz Kropp wins for Lunark in Brazil to see out the season in some style. Carlos Martin will just be denied in second by a few seconds. Here comes Wasserman. He's got one shot here at Federico Russo, and he'll fall just short in 7th position. But nonetheless, a great effort for Multiforce GP that secures them 4th in the team's championship. Alex Lahou will just miss out in 9th, but he does beat Harry Smith. But nonetheless, Netrex do beat, I think just beat Spark to 2nd then, with Vincent Gut 2nd, Harry Smith getting a few crucial points in 10th, making all the difference then. Saracino will come home in 12th after a difficult end to the race. There's Hoekstra, was very close with Lucchini, but just lost out in the end. And wow, lots of battles up and down the field. Got a feel for Freilich, though, who sort of found himself on the outside in that free wide moment with Hamming and Mayer. And he was the one who hit the grass and went off. So easy to do as well when you find yourself with nowhere to go into turn 1. But there is Moritz Kropp doing donuts. And why shouldn't he? Because that's a fantastic way to end his season. And surely the Lunark team are going to be ones to watch out for next season.
Yeah, so we'll check out Saracino making a mistake.
He was chasing down Harry Smith, so is this how... I don't think anyone got through there. I think Alex Lahou must have got by Harry Smith a bit earlier then. Oh, no, there we go. There goes Menno gone. Yeah, Menno gained a position at the death.
Yeah, there'll be plenty of celebrations there from Multiforce. Their best result since 2020, I think. So,
watch this. Freilich trying to make a move on Mayer, and then suddenly Frank Hamming is going up the inside of both of them. So... was there enough? No, he just lost it on his own. Tried to go a little bit too wide and left his turning a bit too late and just about avoided the wall, actually. It was a yellow flag. The marshal was well placed to see that one going. And this is Russo then. You just saw the rear tyres had had enough, and then he gets all over the curb here, struggles to hold on to it, and up the inside goes Vincent Gut. So the podium just slipping away on the penultimate lap there. Through goes Hammond.
Yes, it was 2021 where Jason Muscat and Menno Clont himself got Multiforce into P4 in the championship. So they're now back to that sort of standard, and they'll be relieved after they had a glimmer of hope to win the Drivers' Championship with Mike Quint. There you have it, Ed, and all our viewers on YouTube. Thanks so much for tuning in from the beginning of the season. Martins, we've got an explosion.
That's
in
Hamming.
the back of the HTTP. Hamming blown up the engine.
Hamming got a bit overexcited.
Yeah, he won't need that engine anymore. But here we go. We'll summarize the final sprint race of 2023. Moritz Kropp has made this one heck of a second half of the season for Lunark since they were established mid-season. Carlos Martin, a double P2, has to be said. So well done as we have the on board. Most likely Menno, I think, is trying to help hamming around the place. So Vincent Gutt, P3, another very solid drive there for Spark. So they do get their podium. Frank Hamming, P4, so we know how good he's been across the year. Jack Mayer consolidates his championship win with the P5. So even if anything were to happen in the post stewarding decision making, I suppose, there's nothing that Shimon can really do about it at this stage. Russo, P6, David Vossman, P7, Shimon Frelick, P8, Alex Lahu fighting back from his race 1 and indeed race 2 jitters by getting a P9, and Harry Smith gets 10th. In the points, Menno Klont there as well, getting that position off Saracino at the very last set of corners. Mirko Lucchini, Wopke Hoekstra, and Massimiliano Raboni. So I'll try that again. Massimiliano Raboli get the points for 11th through 15th. Danny van der Neet, unfortunate to get nothing there. Philip Koenig on the lead lap in 17th. Julian Klaffenbach endured to the end despite the lap 1 shunt that lost him his rear wing. Unfortunately, Oliver Taras and Joe Gillette did not see the checkered flag, but they'll be marked as 20th and 21st. And Jassi Latinen, that was good to say the least. And of course, Lucas Tylene was disqualified, and I suppose that was the end of his race. He tried to serve a stop-go as a drive-through, and that was rejected. So there we have it. A long season for all of these drivers and the teams comes to an end. So you've, of course, seen it all from Nürburgring onwards back in May, I think. That's when you joined in. So how do you feel this race went?
It was certainly action-packed. We had the 10th start of the side in race 1, and then Russo, to be full credit to him, we put on a fantastic show in race 2 there, trying to hold on, but it just fell just a little bit short at the end, although he did do just enough to hold back David Wasserman, who himself put on a great overtaking show on those soft tyres. So race 2 with the sprint is always a bit of a toss-up between trying to do one stop on the soft or just get the mediums to the end, and usually the mediums is the safer option, but full marks to those who put the softs on and put on the show for us better. But certainly take nothing away from Jack Mayer. Today was his day, and I think he'll be reasonably happy with that 5th place, although Frank Hamming will take a degree of comfort from that double move on our championship winning TOP drivers.
Yeah, and the interview waiting room is filling up, and of course there's no time to waste. We need to talk to our brand new champion and the runner-up in the season. So let's have Jack and Shimon together for a shared interview.
Let me just
have Jack on the zone.
There we go.
So welcome, gentlemen. Jack, you are confirmed the champion for 2023. How do you feel?
Hello, guys. Yeah, thank you for that. Well, I was just saying to Shimon after the race, it's been a hard season, and as a teammate, he's been fantastic this year. So it's made it enjoyable, results aside. So firstly, thank you, Shimon, for being my teammate this year. Even if we had to fight for the championship off the track, he's been a great guy and has made it enjoyable. And for it to be coming down to us two tonight, I mean, we have a lot of respect for each other. I don't think we've had any issues all season, but regardless of who won the championship, I think we both deserved it this year. But yeah, delighted with the results, even if I made it hard for myself in the first race. But it's been a hard year. Sim racing, also outside of sim racing, so much has happened. But this is one of the best things this year, so I'm really happy. And to everyone, all my mates, my family who watch it, saw her as well, supports me. Then you got Shimon, Tom, Vincent from Spark. They've been given a lot of help this year, working together, working on setups and strategy. It's been a real group effort on track and outside the track. So as a season, it's definitely one of probably the best I've had for a very hard year. So thank you to everyone who's helped. Thank you to you guys as well for giving this coverage all season.
Yeah, you're most welcome, Jack. Yeah, no problem at all. So do you have any comments on qualifying? Because that would have been one way to reduce
That's a nice
the
way to
burden on
say.
yourself.
Well, yeah, we'll start with the hard stuff. I just couldn't put a
Yeah.
lap together. I think throughout the whole of practice, Shimon was probably about 2 tenths ahead anyway. But I had the pace for third, fourth, where I should have been. But no, I made it hard myself. Every lap I was up, I messed it up, to put it politely, somewhere. So, but I wasn't too worried because we still qualified in the position we needed to wrap the championship up. We had the incident at the start of lap one, race one, which I'll have to look back at. It looked unfortunate. I think it was just 3 into 1, which, yeah, it's a shame for, I think it was Saracino going round. I'll look back at it before deciding what happened. No one's race should end like that. But yeah, I just saw a big gap, everyone breaking early, and I got the corner stopped. And if we were still 3 wide, I guess it was just one of those things. We'll see what the DC say, if they say anything. But from that moment, just bringing it home, I think we lost positions. We made them up again fairly quickly because we had the pace and the tyre wear. And yeah, just a matter of one car at a time, and we found ourselves in P3. I don't really remember much from race one, to be honest, because it seemed like when all the overtakes were just simple because of tyres. I think that's what it was today. Yeah, just driving safely, besides lap one, obviously.
Well, you say that, Jack. It's interesting because there was not only was there just after the pit stop the battle with Vincent, where I noticed you made a great move on Vincent, I think into turn 4. And then Vincent had the pace to sort of keep up with you using the DRS. And we used to say in commentary, well, this is where Vincent, it says on the front of his chassis, friendship with Simon and Jack. This is where we see who he's bigger friends with, whether he attacks Jack or not. And it seems you won out in the end, Jack, either way.
Yeah.
And the other thing that happened was you had a massive moment into Ferradura, which was turn 6, the sort of uphill right-hander, where you lost it very early on, reacted almost immediately, and you were able to save it, which many drivers were not, unfortunately. But you had an amazing car control there, and that was such a sort of sliding doors moment where Simon, of course, was doing everything right at that point. The championship could have gone either way in that moment, and you brilliantly just about held it without losing too much time. So
yeah, I remember
a heart and mouth moment.
I remember it. That's probably the highlight of the race, for the wrong reasons, of course. But yeah, I think it was in all the practice we'd done before. I mean, I'd done some laps with Vincent before, and the situation was similar. I was ahead and he was following, but he had a really good pace today. So I knew even if I got ahead, he was having probably the drive of his season. So it was just a matter of keeping the gap. So I think 5 tenths was safe out of the final corner, and if it dropped to 4, then maybe have a look. But that's all it was. Every lap, it didn't matter what we'd done in the middle sector. It was about the final corner, and we managed that fine. I'd have expected him, regardless of friendship, he would have gone for the move, because especially if it's P3, he knows as well as I did that I needed. P4 would have been enough to do the championship. So he would have been racing me normally, and I expected that. That's just racemanship, and yeah, he was really good about it. And yeah, that moment, I had a few slides in practice at the same corner because of dirty air, and it was usually early in the corner on turning, just after the first apex. So that one being quite later in the corner was an even bigger surprise. I can't really explain it. I caught it, which is, I guess, what I'm meant to do. I don't know. I know it's easy to do. It's easy to lose the back end there. I think it's just as I caught the dirty air of, I think, was that Vincent ahead of me or some? I can't remember who it was ahead. But yeah, just as I caught his dirty air, just stalled the rear, and definitely heart and mouth. But yeah, it didn't really affect me for the rest of the race anyway.
Well, our hearts were in our mouths, so it's like
Yeah.
you weren't driving. But yeah, the only final thing I had is in race 2, there was a great fight with your teammate Simon, pretty much throughout, which ended with you guys running side by side quite a while, and then Frank Hamming somehow slipped up the inside of both of you, and that must have been, obviously championship wrapped up, but that must have been a bit annoying to see Frank take advantage of you like that. And then Simon stuck on the outside, just left it a bit too far to the outside and a bit too late, and unfortunately found himself sliding off track and losing a position.
Yeah, it was nice to have a fight. I mean, all season we've had a few on-track meetings, but we haven't really had anything of a fight until now. And it's a shame that
It's
it
all
came
nice and polite until now.
yeah, but tonight was elbows out, especially race 2, not much to lose. But we still have a lot of respect, and I think we left each other room the whole time. And I think it all began with Russo losing the DRS. So then Vincent had a little look, and then I think that backed him up, and then we got through. Well, we got to the back of him, and I did actually have another big moment. I think it was lap 23. I had a big moment, but I caught it just as the back end went, so I don't think that would be picked up. But it threw me a little bit wider on the exit, and that's when Shimon had a look down the inside, and I knew he would. And just as we were side by side, I think they backed up in front, so there's a little bit of contact there. And we left each other room, kept side by side, but I think Hamming was what really helped Hamming was, I think, because of the little side by side me and Shimon had, Vincent just got a bit closer to Russo, and I think he was probably 3 tenths behind where you started getting the slipstream at the final corner, but I didn't have the slipstream. So before we even got to DRS, I could already see I wasn't gonna have any help from Vincent. It was gonna be all Shimon coming past, and then Frank got alongside and just had to stay in the middle. And I didn't see what happened to Shimon. I just saw that he disappeared, but I saw Frank got ahead. I wasn't too worried. We were just having a bit of fun, and it was all respectful and good racing at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely agreed. Shimon, if you're ready to describe your evening, I'm sure you're a tad disappointed that your incredible drive from Paul in race 1 didn't result in this championship staying alive. But yeah, what are your thoughts after this evening?
Well, I'm not really disappointed because I think I've lost the championship in the previous 15 races. So Jack had to really, really mess it up this race. But yeah, I didn't expect to be this quick. Actually didn't ball quali again somehow, and then in the race I was just faster than everyone else. But I think Alex and Carlos had a collision, so probably Carlos had the damage for the rest of the race. So I was just keeping the gap to him and just going to the end. Only had one car next to me, which was Koenig on hards. He pushed me off. Not happy about that. But yeah, the rest of the race 1, it was just going to the end. And then race 2, my plan was just to stay behind people. Well, first I got the better launch than Jack and got in front of him, but then going to turn 4, I tried going around the outside of Vincent and just didn't have grip on the outside, and Jack went on my inside, then outside for turn 5 and 6. Or 6 and 7. Yeah, 6 and 7. And retook the position. So for most of the race, I was just staying behind, conserving my tires. The plan was to attack in the final laps. And then it got really close. I think 3 laps to go. And I just started going for moves on Jack. But I couldn't make a successful move, and then it allowed Hamming to get both of our slipstreams and get on the inside of us. And unluckily I dipped my wheel into the grass, and then I just couldn't get my wheel off the ledge. There's a steep ledge on the top of the hill, and I just couldn't turn my car to the left, which dragged me completely out of the corner, and I was facing the exit barrier. I had to reverse and then rejoin. So yeah, I'm lucky about that, but I was just having fun in race 2. It didn't really matter what the outcome was in that race.
Yeah, that's so easy to do, Simon, because I think Mika Hakimi did the exact same thing in a FSR World Championship for Arnaud Brabenway. He's got in that sort of gully where there's the sort of slight transition onto the grass, where there's the gradient essentially, and once your wheel gets stuck in that, you're basically going straight on, like you say. So you need well not to hit the wall and not get stuck in the runoff where all the retired cars go in real life, or whenever it rains, I guess. But yeah, Simon, speaking more generally, you've had a really, really strong last part of the season, getting lots and lots of wins, particularly in race ones. I think back to Spa, I think back to the previous race in Abu Dhabi. Your paces and qualifying especially has been really, really strong. You've kept this championship alive, I think, a lot longer than Jack would have hoped for. And you've been a real thorn in his side. Were you expecting that, given how far behind and how difficult things were going mid-season? Or did you always know you could fight back and get it to the final couple of races?
Well, when I was 72 points behind him, I think that was after Hungary. So with 6 rounds to go, I thought it would be a Herculean task to
I guess you're
bring the
Hercules.
fight. Bring the fight. Well, I wouldn't count that as bringing the fight to Jack because he had 40 points going into this round. Like he needed just 8 points in both races together. So, and I would need to win both of them.
Oh, you won one of them.
Yeah.
You got one win, yeah.
Always hard to win reverse grid
But
races.
after Belgium and Italy, which were one of my best rounds, and it was one of the worst rounds for Jack, I brought it to like about 40. I don't remember exactly, or maybe 32, somewhere around there. So, I thought that from Italy, I have to be on it, so that the gap is closer. But then Jack was just well, maybe he wasn't. Well, in Japan he was quick. I'll give him that. So he earned that win. In Singapore, yeah, I could have won. I kind of bottled it, and my rig snap. So after that,
And you also had that pesky Alex LaHoo bothering you in Singapore, didn't you?
yeah.
I wish it to be too rude, because I think Alex is waiting for an interview in the other room as well.
Yeah.
So after Singapore, I was thinking that it's slipping away from me, and in Japan, yeah, it was. I pretty much knew that it's over. But I think I'll risk a statement. If you take away my bad luck and Jack's bad luck, it would be really, really close in the championship. Like maybe down to the singular points.
Yeah, but I certainly haven't got the calculator out to really test that theory right now, Simon. But I'll. I think either way, I think Jack is a very, very deserving champion, and I think you're a very, very worthy runner-up. And who knows, maybe next season it could be your chance to shine, Simon. So,
Well,
congratulations on both championships for TOP and to Jack Mayer, our new 2023 FS1 champion.
Thank you.
I hate to break it to you, Ed, but I'm not racing next year.
Oh, okay. Anywhere?
No, I'm pausing.
I enjoyed commentating on you so much, Simon. Now you're going to help me in broadcast.
Education, you gotta hate it, but
fair enough.
I'm ending middle school. I'm going to university in summer, so I have to start sweating in a different field now.
Well, we're going to swap out the racetrack for the exam paper.
Yep.
Unless you could do a course that's all coursework. But anyway, like I did. That's why I'm here doing commentary. But anyway, thank you very much to our new 2023 FS1 champion, Jack Mayer, and his teammate, Simon Frelick, who, of course, won race 1 here at Interlagos, both ending the season on a definite high.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
Thank you.
So,
right. Who do you want next, Eoin? Because they've all been waiting very patiently.
Yeah, Moritz Kropp as a race 2 winner. I think he deserves.
That's true. Let's do Moritz and then Carlos here from Netflix.
Yes, absolutely. Welcome, Maritz. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
So yeah, you've also had a successful ending to your season there. You got the reverse grid pole with 9th place and turned it into a fairly solid victory with the threat from behind. It was more the soft tire drivers that were looking strong, but once they were in the pits again, you were in control. So yeah, is that a fair assessment?
Well, yeah, it just, I don't know. This round just represented how our season has been in general. Like, today I just hopped on like 15 minutes before the event, and I know I got someone to send me a setup, and no teammate and no engineer too. So doing the race, managing like all the different strategies was quite challenging, and well, I was basically like when the soft runners came through, I thought I was fighting with medium runners, so I actually fought quite hard against them, which cost me a bit of tire life in the end. And well, yeah, it would have been just a lot easier to have an engineer, but I'm quite happy how it turned out.
It's funny hearing you say that, Moritz, because in commentary I was saying, "Oh, look at Moritz; he's going right to the outside at turn 1. He's not fighting them at all." But you think that actually I was fighting quite hard. So obviously I'm idiot commentator, completely misreading the situation. And you got in that situation in race 1. It was interesting because you qualified quite well. There was a crash with Alex Lahou ahead of you with Martin, and you just couldn't avoid Lahou. It was a bit unfortunate you took his rear wing, but there was nothing you could have done going off track. It was about as far to the outside as you could have. And then the strategy just seemed, was it because you didn't have an engineer? You picked quite early compared to everyone else, and then I think got stuck in traffic, and then that was why you ended up in P9, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, well, I had so much damage from that. Like my steering was bent, and I had like 10 degrees of camber, but like positive camber zone in the wrong direction. And there was just no grip at all. I was like, I could hear the tire rubbing on the straight, and so I thought to myself, all right, I'm gonna pit a bit earlier, repair the damage, because I'm not gonna get through the race otherwise. So I pitted a bit earlier, hoping I could get a little bit of an undercut, which I don't know. I don't know if it worked. Honestly, I had no overview of the race. I just drove. Um, it was just so unfortunate because I lost so much time, and I think you could see that. I mean, Simon was just pulling away after we collided. So yeah, well, I mean, I did well, I think.
I think I would certainly agree with that,
agree.
considering the damage you had there, and then the reward was that reverse group pole in race 2, which you did manage, despite having no engineer, really, really well. And even though, like you see, maybe you used a bit more tire than ideally we'd wanted to in the first stint, but you had that gap to Carlos to really hold on to it by about 1.5 seconds in the end. So, Lunark, 2 wins this season, Moritz. You've got to say that's, considering you started halfway through, that's got to be a good return. And the focus surely shifts to next season now for you. What are your aims for next year? Because I think you've finished in the top 10 in the Drivers' Championship despite missing the first half of the season. Do you think Lunar are going to be going for the very top? Do you think you're going to get a full-time teammate for next season?
Well, I have to bit disappoint you in that I will not be driving for Lunark next year.
Oh, you're frelicking me.
I will.
Simon just said.
Oh, I've got some options. Obviously, my priority is THR because they're my friends. They've looked after me since day one, and I wouldn't want to leave just because we're going through a rough patch at the moment. But I generally say that it'll be a big surprise what's going to happen next year. I don't know myself. And yeah, well, in terms of Lunak, I'm always going to stay involved in it. I'm close to contact with Luke Mitchell, and now we're looking just who to replace me, and who would be suited alongside Luke.
Speaking of Luke, he's just won this evening the very final ERC British Touring Car race for Hunter Burt Simulation, named of course after me, Edward Hunter. So you're friends with Luke, now who you could drive for. It's a big surprise. Maybe you could drive for us one day, Moritz. Who knows?
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
It's too early to say. We are only in FS2 next season. Fingers crossed. If and the gods are merciful.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Moritz. It's always great to hear from you, and congrats on winning the final race of the season.
Thank you, and also thanks for commentating all the races this year.
it's been really enjoying to watch, and thank you.
Well,
very
I'm
much.
like you, Moritz. I did the second half of the season. So it's Eoin who's been
I
here since
missed
the
two
start. So.
out of the 16, and bearing in mind Saudi Arabia never started, so I count that as a miss.
Well, there was nothing we could have done about that one.
We can do, unfortunately.
All right,
But yeah, thanks so much, Maritz, and well done.
thank you.
Now it's
All right, let's talk to
Carlos's
Carlos,
turn.
shall we?
Welcome, Carlos. Can you hear us?
I do.
So it's a case of 2 second places in both races. So which one would you prefer to talk about first?
Let's start with the first one. It was well with an event with Alex. It was I don't know how to say it because I even lifted in the race. I don't want to fight him because I know that staying behind is quite powerful and everything. So I just broke pretty early, and when he switches to the natural line, I just lose so much downforce. I broke very early, and we spoke it in DMs, and he said, "Yeah, you broke very early, and when you switch, you just lose everything." And I just saw it slow mo going into his rear end, and I feel very sorry for him because he doesn't deserve it. He will definitely have fought for the P2, P3, and yeah, well, the rest of the race, we did the prep pretty bad, I would say, because we prepped with way higher temperatures. We prepped for 31 degrees, and then the race was 18. The balance was different, and the tire management was also different. But yeah, well, it ended up in a second place, which is, I think, the most we could have taken from it. And then race 2, I was just lucky in the race start. Was surprised as well by the race pace itself. It was so fast by everyone, so fast. Yeah, probably because the temperatures were lower and the tires were melting a bit less. And I just let the Alpha Delta drag me a bit, and then when I saw him struggling, I just went for it. We were fighting for P2 in constructors with Spark today, and that's why I wanted to give it when they were side by side with Vincent. I gave the toe to the Alpha Delta car instead of to Vincent. I just wanted to make it further, but Harry did a good job today, and he gave the necessary points to overtake Spark and being between the championship. But I feel sorry for Alex because I just feel like we both did actions to not happen, and it ended up happening. So he deserves more. He deserves more, and that's all. But well, yeah, happy ending with the between constructors. Omari did a great job all season long, and we recovered well from the start of the season, which was very weak. So yeah, happy for that, and congratulate TOP to Jack, Chimon, and Owen. They did an amazing season. So yeah, better congratulate them, and yeah, let's see what the future holds for all of us.
Indeed, it is going to be very, very exciting to see what happens next for everyone, of course. Especially if Simon Frelick we know is not coming back next season. We know Jack Mayer might be moving on, depending on what's decided there. So there could even be those two in front of you in the championship. There might be a little opening in FS1 next season if if you stay around. But of course, you might have your eyes on Super Lights and the Super League as well yourself. So there was so many battles with Vincent in both races, really. It felt like you two were really fighting each other for that team's championship. And of course, you had help from Harry Smith a little bit further down, nabbing a few points as well. And that made the difference today. You had that 14-point gap going in, then going into the final race, it was just a 2-point gap. So that must have been really tense, Carlos, because I remember back about 5 or 6 races ago, you said second was the target. And then suddenly when it's in reach, that must be where it's so hard to finally to finally pull it off when the moment calls for it?
Well, I think there were a bit of choking by my side these last races. Suzuka with the setup, I did it completely wrong, and I slowed down the team, and then I choked it at Abu Dhabi when I was behind Moritz. So yeah, crashing it in Abu Dhabi, trying to pressure Moritz was not ideal for sure. But well, it needs to be understood that we had the chance because Thomas is not here. So in all fairness, I'm not sure if we fully deserve it, but it is what it is.
Oh, you
And yeah.
definitely deserve it, Carlos. Come on, you won how many races this season? Like 4?
5.
Oh,
But
there we go. I'm underrating you again.
nah,
And you could have won race 2 as well if you weren't trying to give Russo a toe the whole time and making it interesting for us in the commentary box.
No. I didn't have much more. I was trying to, but probably I should have pushed a bit more. But the setup
Moritz
was already.
told us, and you'll hate to hear this, that he pushed his tires too hard defending from the soft runners because he had no engineer today. And he didn't realize the soft runners were on soft, so he thought they were running to the end. And so he said that by the end, his tires are in much worse state than he wanted them to be.
Yeah, well, the thing our setup was meant for way higher temperatures, and for these low temperatures was so not ideal. But this is my bad again. It's no one else's fault and no excuse. But I didn't pull from Russo because I couldn't. I was thinking in the long run. I knew that if I pushed, it would put me in danger of Russo actually at the end, because if he's saving tires and I'm pushing, I'm just drunky and I'm just in danger at the end. So the smartest thing to do is to just save it, and if you can hold him back, it's all good. And then see if Moritz tires die. Well, I didn't have an engineer either. I didn't know the pit delta. I had no clue. But as we do always, we try to just go a bit longer than the rest and keep this flexibility in fuel. And yeah, I mean, the competitors this year in FS1 were really top, and I appreciate that. Coming back from my knee injury was something I wasn't sure how I could come back. Last year, needing to retire ASAP, it was not ideal. Yeah, I just hope my teammate next year can carry me, to be honest. I will need it.
Yeah, I mean, if this is how you drive with an injured knee, I think you at full strength, once the after effects are gone away, is going to be quite fearsome, Carlos. So yeah, you've really fought back from a tremendous amount of difficulty in the last year or so, and it's been very, very impressive to watch. So congratulations, Carlos, not just on the 2 second places, not just on second place in the team's championship, but third in the drivers with, I believe, 317 points in total.
Yeah. Thanks to all of you, to you, Edouard, to everyone who is in the broadcast, to the cameras, everyone. Yeah, thank you for this amazing season. Yeah, I'll see you next year, probably my last one as a driver. I was planning to be this one, my last one as a driver, but sadly some stuff happened and now I will have more time in my life, so I will keep next year. It will be an interesting project. I hope you will have news very, very, very soon.
Well, we'll give you a good send off before your retirement, I would assume. So best of luck, Carlos.
Nah, thank you guys. Thank you, all of you.
You're very welcome, Carlos. So long. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that leaves Vincent Gutt for a chat. He's our last interviewee in the waiting room. So here he is now, Vincent Gutt. So
we always make Vincent wait, don't we? I feel so bad about it.
Oh yeah, so yeah, there he is. So you got as much, I think, out of that evening as you possibly could. So perhaps the fact that Carlos and Netrex have achieve second place in the team's championship. Hopefully, it doesn't take away from the great job you've done today.
I feel pretty happy. Yeah, only in race 1 there was a chance for P3 as well. Because of traffic, I lost quite a lot of time. Carlos, I pitted at the same time with Carlos, and he left the pits right ahead of his a small group, and I was right behind them, and I wasn't able to overtake them because of slipstream and dirty air, slipstream and DRS. Yeah, until one fun, and then I was able to overtake the other one, but I lost quite a lot of time, and Jack was able to close in. But yeah, P4 and P3, that's great. And I was surprised by my quali performance, that I was just a bit more than a tenth behind pole, and in P4 I'm usually quite a bad qualifier, and I'm quite surprised by that and really happy about the night.
Yeah, it really feels like you ran into a purple patch right near the end of the season, Vincent, and that made it just that little bit harder for Carlos Omari and the Netrex team to snatch that second place in the team's table. So you, in the absence of Thomas, it must be said, you've really stepped up as leading on from the podium, in Abu Dhabi, and another podium here, both in race 2s admittedly, but again that fourth in race 1 was very, very strong. So you really kept the pressure on. I thought actually there was a chance you might have started fighting with Jack near the end of race 1 and trying to put the championship in jeopardy, and it was a case of who is he bigger friends with, Simon or Jack, as he says on the front of the chassis that you pointed out to me beforehand. But it looks like Jack won out either way.
Yeah, he won the championship anyway, because he only needed P9, so it didn't matter where he finishes. And
mad a bit to him.
In the middle of a season, just before I think I got my first podium in Spa, I thought I wish I would have a little bit more luck with reverse grids. And I would.
And you got a reverse grid pole in Spa, didn't you?
No, I didn't have reverse grid pole there.
Was it Abu Dhabi?
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah.
But if you look at the standings, my season was till that point so consistent. If you look at others, they finish behind me or ahead me. They do both, but not consistent. They have really good results and quite not bad, but semi-good results. And I was always so consistent. I wanted to trade like a P8 or 2 P8s for 1 P15 and 1 P4, P3. And at the end it was a bit like this. If you look at Singapore or Japan, I didn't score a lot of points. I was not good and did mistakes. And when I got Abu Dhabi, I got my luck there, the luck I wished. And today it was pace. Today I was quite quick, and I got also really good results. So it's a mix the last 4 rounds of good and bad results. What I basically wanted. Okay, I don't want the bad results, but to be realistic, tried a bit more, do the mistakes, but then also get the better results. That was a bit the goal.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, as well as third in the team's championship, though narrowly missing out by just under 10 points. You have got 6th, overtaking Mike Quinn and Omari Watson, who weren't here. I'm not sure if you quite did enough to snatch 5th away from Frank Hamming, who I think scored just enough points to stay ahead, because he scored 28 points, I think, across both races.
Yeah, he was close. Ahead.
Yeah, but still, 6th place, getting 2 places near the end. You've got to feel, despite, like you say, a bit of an up and down season, that's a good day's work. Or not days, a whole year's work.
I hadn't an up and down season. It was so consistent, except the last 4 rounds. Yeah. But because of that, I'm in that position, or partially because of that, I'm in that position. I was so consistent. I didn't crash for most of the season, and I didn't do the mistakes. It's so green. Yeah. So just score every race for points, and yeah, it worked.
Yeah, it's good that it did work in the end. So hopefully after the winter break, are you excited for next season as well?
Right, yeah, I'm looking forward.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So yeah, I suppose we'll give you back your time now, Vincent. Thank you so much for giving us a great season with the Spark team, and of course you help out with the media team as well. So I really appreciate all of that support.
I have to thank you guys for doing it every Thursday or sometimes Tuesdays or even Mondays. Yeah. Big thank you.
As well this year. Anyway, congrats on the 3 podiums, Vincent, because it was hard work out there this year, and you really rose to the challenge.
Thank you, guys.
So that.
We're out of drivers now, unless you want to drag Alex Lahou and he's talking to the race directors.
No, I suppose, yeah, if he's busy in race director's lounge, he won't be able to come in. But yeah, that completes our lengthy campaign, Ed. So thanks again for your contributions since the German round. So do you have any highlights that you want to bring up on this final broadcast?
Oof. Well, I tell you, doing Spa without you was a bit difficult, but I think I did have David Yint, if I remember correctly, who helped me out on that occasion. But yeah, lots of really, really good races. A couple of like Spa was a bit of a wet race. We had the race that I missed in Singapore, where you did really well on your own. In terms of actually things that happen on track, I think a lot of the wins from Mayer and Frelick were all just sort of top draw. I keep thinking of race 2 in Hungary was a great win by Harvey. I remember that being a fantastic race. And we've had a couple of interests, like the race 1 at Monza with that close finish between Martin and Frelick as well. There are a lot of great battles that Carlos Martin was in the whole year as well. Frank Hamming making that beautiful pass. I think, as I said, that's probably going to make the highlights. I think Mike Quint's drive at Germany ran that first commentary that we did together. I think that was a great win as well. Sadly, his only win of the season, unfortunately, but that was sort of the zenith of Multiforce's season, although they did snatch that 4th place back in the end. So, yeah, I think a great season for TOP, obviously. Fantastic year for Jack Mayer, and as he said, he alluded to that difficulty with his father passing away, the sort of personal circumstances of that. I think that's a great drive, despite obviously it's not going to change his circumstances materially all that much, but certainly it gave him something else to focus his energy on, and I think he can really hang his head very, very high indeed after the season he put in, and who knows what Jack's going to do next season. I think he's certainly going to be one to watch, because when you win FS2 and FS1, well, the only way is up from there, isn't it? And as for Simon Frelick, sadly we won't see him in action next year, but I think we're certainly going to miss some of those drives as well from him, because he had some, like we even saw in race 1 today, once he gets in the lead, he tends to clear off, and it's a shame that middle part of the season didn't quite go his way, because like he said, it could have been even closer, and he did well to keep the fight going right to the end, which was the only GPVWC Drivers' Championship to go right to the last race day as well. So it's great from an entertainment point of view that we got to see that. And thanks to Lahou having a crazy up and down season where if he didn't bin it, he sometimes won it, like in Saudi Arabia, which sadly we didn't get to see on stream. But I think despite the way today ended for Alex, I think he was incredibly fast all season. Almost him and Carlos Martin was sort of very little to split them in terms of probably best qualifiers, although I think Frelick and Mayer are definitely in that conversation as well. And I think Alex Lahou, more to come from him in the future.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. He had the catalogue of mishaps, so yeah, hopefully the final chapters when written, he can have a better 2024. We've just hit the 3-hour mark, but I suppose to wrap things up, some personal.
Oh, we have been going on a while, haven't we?
Yeah, it's been a 3-hour broadcast. Sorry to Heigo here; he's had to manage everything here. But yeah, some quick highlights from yourself. Matej Hilla, race 2 in Spain. He loved his audacious strategies and the fact that his entry into the first chicane, it was so daring, using all the runoff that he could, and Jan Dragoon,
as well.
Other drivers who got a shock win as well, perhaps out of sequence back in Baku early on in the campaign. And of course, Australia race 2 with Thomas Harvey winning there and Matej Hilla on the podium, Frank Hamming second. That was a crazy race. It was the one and only time in race 2 where the TOP guys had a nightmare at the same time. So those would be some of my personal highlights to go with yours, Ed. And of course, thank you so much to everybody who's made these broadcasts possible. Of course, Heigo Poom right now in broadcast, the director box. I thank him very, very much. And of course, Yusuf bin Suhail was my first partner in the booth for the beginning few races of the season. So thank you very much to him for his efforts. But for myself, Eoin, Harmon, that concludes 2023. Just 1 week to go for Super Lights and Super League before we can formally close out the season, and there may be other festivities like GPVWC Day later before Christmas. But for now, it's been one heck of a season. Congratulations, Jack Mayer and TOP. It's a good night for myself, Ed Hunter, and Heigo Poom. Thanks for watching.